come in and take it
Luke
from here.
Fickle ain't taking it, but he could.
Well, I don't know if Luke Fickle will take it either, but boy, that'd be rich.
Fucking be nice.
Kid from Ohio, the Ohio State guy.
We're live, David.
We are going live. About time.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning, everybody. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on this first Wednesday of 2022. Thanks so much for being with us. The Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. How are you?
I'm good. I didn't get as great of a night of sleep as I did 2 nights ago, but I'm fired up. I'm ready. We're closing in on the end of football season. This is the best time of year. The playoffs are here. They're a week away. We got college football national championship. No, I'm fired up.
Don't say that, though. We're closing in on the end of football season. That makes people sad.
Not anymore. Not with what they do in the offseason, David. Not with what's going to go on with quarterbacks and recruits and NIL and all. It doesn't end. Don't worry, David. We used to think that the end was the end. It's just the beginning, David. It's just the beginning of a great offseason.
Are we talking Saturdays? Are we talking Sundays here?
Both. I feel like I'm doing that Dr. Pepper commercial. Offseason. Where do we go then?
Miller and Moulton on this Wednesday. So I did a buddy's podcast last night, and he starts it by saying, Happy New Year. And of course, what was our poll question yesterday?
What I'm going to say to people till February. Happy New Year.
So you've decided you're going all in.
All in. Once your answer was January 8th, every guest we have after the 8th, I will chime in and go, hey, just Happy New Year from David and I.
So this is what, retaliation? What is this?
I don't know what it is. It's just fun for me. I'm not really doing it to give you, well, I guess I'm doing it a little bit to give you a hard time, but I don't like this idea that in a 365-day year, I'm only allowed to say Happy New Year for 7 of those days. It doesn't seem to make sense percentage-wise.
Do you remember when we wrote checks? Do you remember that far ago? Okay. Do you remember when we wrote checks? And what was the length of time that you gave yourself in which it was okay when you still wrote down the past year in the year column?
It was basically the whole month.
You gave yourself the whole month of January?
Yeah. Where it was even worse was when I was in school. If you go back to when you were in high school or middle school,
right,
and you had to put the date on the paper and you're writing whatever, by then it's probably a 70-something or an 80-something, but you get the point, David. These are things I don't worry about too much. Make a little mistake on yesterday in the Twitch, the notification, I forgot to put the proper year. It still said 2021. And of course, someone had to come in and remind me, you've got the wrong year. Okay. Thank you for that. Did you know it was 2022, or did you think you actually went into a time machine and traveled back 365 days?
Was that Felipe's mom again?
I believe that it was.
Okay. All right. Good. Good to know. So, yeah, okay. So I guess we're going to play this game for the month of January. This will be fun. This is kind of like, how long do you leave the Christmas up? And
right.
Lights. Still 2 houses on our street. And it's still got the lights going. I think at 5 a.m. it looks great.
I don't get that I have one neighbor who left part of his lights up.
What?
Everything's down, but the sconces on the side of his garage, he has one green and one red. Normally those are white lights. And I don't understand. He took everything else down. I don't know if he forgot.
Could be.
But this morning when I walked the dog and I noticed that he still had green and red lights on the front of the house, I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, maybe he just likes them. You know what? A little touch. As Robin Williams said, just, a little. Nathan Lane said, you just need a little color with the outfit, just a little color. So Miller and Moulton on this fine Wednesday. And it's an interesting time if you're a fan of an NFL team because, most of the playoffs are set. Seeding is not necessarily set, but the teams, for all intents and purposes, are set. I mean, you got 6 of the 7 spots in the NFC that are already locked up. In the AFC, I guess you've got only 5 of the 7, but really 6 because the Chargers-Raiders game is a play-in game. And nobody thinks that Jacksonville is going to beat Indianapolis, although we were notified in the text line, and we looked it up this morning.
2014 is the last time the Colts have beaten the Jags in Jacksonville.
Or London, wherever the game was scheduled.
Right.
That was not Indianapolis. Right. Wow. 7 in a row the Jags have beaten the Colts. And remember, they went 1-15 last year. And what was the one? Week 1 at home against the Colts.
They've beaten the Buffalo Bills this year, so it's not that they can't put a game together. But that was a fun little factoid that adds a little pizzazz into that game that I don't think we had.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, David, there is the scenario of all scenarios is if the Colts were to win and the Raiders and Chargers tie, they're both in. They play the Sunday night game. They literally could look at one another and say, no injuries. Who wants to take a knee?
If the Colts lost.
Right. If the Colts lost,
the Raiders and Chargers could look at one another and go,
we could just take knees.
And we're both in.
And we're both in with no injuries, and we essentially got a Sunday off. The league would have a meltdown.
Yes, they would. Yes, they would. Now, you need to somehow choreograph this. Hey, we need to exchange field goals. Just go slowly up and down the field, bunch of 6 to 8 minute drives. We'll stall in the red zone conveniently. 3-3, 6-6. It'll be halftime.
Oh, see, that's contrived. I think it would be better as if they just lined up in victory formation and took knees for 4 quarters.
Come on. Can't happen. Too much pride, too much integrity. You play to
make the playoffs.
The game.
No, you don't. You play to make the playoffs.
Play to win the game. Come on now. I don't think you'd get the players to go along with it. You couldn't do it. Not that way. Not that way.
Okay.
Nah, I do think you can get them to do the 3-3-6-6 routine.
If you could get them to do that, you could get them to take a knee for 4 quarters.
It's too embarrassing. It's too obvious.
Yeah, we're making the playoffs, everybody. We're going to play next week in the important games.
Would be something.
I mean, I want the Jags to win just for the possibility of that to happen.
I mean, if you could tell, you'd lose your mind. I mean, I don't know if you could make whatever the maximum fine is, start suspending. I mean, do you ban coaches for life? I mean, honestly, coaches and players get together to contrive to intentionally determine the outcome of games. I mean, fixing a game. I mean, that is what you were saying, that the coaches and the players would get together and they would agree to fix the outcome of said game. I mean, that's kind of a big deal if you're running the league.
I got you. It would be a lot better than your proposed, we're going to fix it but not let anybody know because someone would find out. Well, at least this way it would be on the up and up.
I mean, guys, remember, 1, 2, 3, tie. All right, that's how we break the huddle every play. I mean, that's all. We just need to do this where it's a tie.
We'll say this much. If the game were to be an actual game and go to overtime, could you see both teams just running up the middle a lot?
Yeah, guys wide open across the middle, you just happen to miss them. I mean, that's all. You pull a Dak Prescott. That's all. Oh, did I go there? Oh, hello. Just listen, you got paid. All right. Most of us big fans of Dak. All right, like him a lot. Good guy. You want him to be the leader of your team. He is the leader of that franchise. It's not an easy franchise to be the leader of. All right, you got to play better, dude. It's simple as that. You got the weapons. You got the horses, and you got playmakers at every level of the defense too. That in this day and age of the NFL, that defense is good enough. It's not a great defense, but it can get you some stops.
That's all you're looking for.
And
that's what the game is now.
And it can get you turnovers too most weeks.
Problem is he's going to deliver them more than the defense is going to take them because the way he's playing right now is bad football.
They're 6-5 not against the NFC East. That's the other thing that jumped out in that loss to Arizona was, guys, I mean, come on now. How seriously are we to take you? You're 6-5 against the rest of the NFL. I mean, most everybody outside of the NFC East would go 5-0 against the NFC East. So how seriously are we to take you?
Look, I know you can't do the week-to-week thing, but the way in which they played against Arizona was just surprising to me. They just looked bad.
He looked bad. I got to be honest. I mean,
Okay.
Because there were guys open all day, and he routinely missed them. And a couple of times they would drop some passes, but most of the passes weren't right on the money either. They were catchable, but they weren't on the money. He needs to be better. And the offensive coordinator, wait for it, Mark, wait for it. You know what they need to do? They need to run the ball more. Just throwing that out there. Big offensive line, mashes people, got a couple of decent running backs. I'm just throwing it out there. Quarterback struggling a little bit. Wild, crazy suggestion. Run the ball. That's all. Just throwing it out there. Teacher Tim Mark said, guys, did you see the Washington football team announce they will reveal their name in February?
Groundhog's Day.
Yes, on Groundhog Day, they will announce the new name of the Washington football team.
Or will they?
Tim said, fingers crossed, I'm rooting for the Mighty Muscles.
Have to have been in the Fort Myers market for quite a while to get that. That's the name of the minor league team here. That is the single worst minor league team name in the history of minor league sports. You went there. The logo looks like a part of the female anatomy.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, you brought it up.
I
You
did.
brought it up at 6:11. There was no need to read what Teacher Tim had to say. But since you did,
It was a good line. And it was right. And it was up your alley, too. That's why I actually did it as a favor to you.
but there are no muscles in Southwest Florida.
Right.
It's not
Right.
where you get muscles.
Right.
And not to mention that this company hired a California-based company to pick their name. It was a huge miss. Huge miss.
The Muscles did?
Yes.
The company who picked that name out was a California ad agency.
Yep.
That's just...
And they obviously didn't do any research on the area in which they were going to name a team. And it was it's a terrible name then. It's a terrible name now.
I'm going to make a list of 3 names that are better.
There are 100.
There's 103 names that are better.
103.
That's okay. So just a little humor early in the show. That was,
I did say female anatomy. You have to be happy.
Yes.
It could have gotten a lot worse.
Yes, that was nice of you for our Tampa St. Pete audience for you to clean that up. I appreciate that. Look at the time. 13 minutes after the hour.
It's on you, big fella.
That is. I thought you would enjoy it. I thought it was a ha-ha moment early in the show. You said you didn't have a good night's sleep, wanted to put a little wry smile on your face.
It did.
Okay.
It did, but unfortunately, it required an explanation because we're not in a market now that we were not on when this all came about.
That's okay. They've got minor league teams, in Tampa St. Pete. They've got names. All right. Everybody understands. Everybody's been in a city that got a minor league team, and either the name works or it doesn't. So that's okay. Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett will join us in a couple of hours. Goodness knows what we'll talk about. At this point, we don't even schedule topics with Seth. We just schedule Seth. And we go down whatever road it is that we go down. Kind of like names of franchises. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for waking up with us on this Hump Day edition on the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I will say, though, in defense of the Mighty Muscles, I feel like a lot of the charm of minor league baseball team names specifically is the fact that a lot of them are hilariously bad.
Correct, but when you
Or just
live in an area
hilariously weird.
where they're not indigenous to the area, like the Jumbo
Correct.
Shrimp, which is Jacksonville, it's a great name.
But like
Like the Lansing Lug Nuts, for instance.
Right.
It's Lansing, Michigan. They make cars. It's the name fits where it is. Mighty Muscles does not fit here. Could have done a lot of different things.
the New Orleans baby cakes.
New Orleans has more pastries and French Quarter. It makes sense.
Nah, that's true.
I'll you give me the bad name. I'll tell you how it
All
fits
right.
the city. I can
All
do it
right.
all day long.
The Mud Dogs.
Where's that? South Carolina area?
I think so.
Yeah.
What's the,
Crawdads? Mud bugs? I think that's a crawdad, right? Like a that you eat? Like a little seafood delicacy?
Mud Dogs baseball.
Let's see.
Yeah, they're in. Oh no. Mud Dogs.
Could be in Louisiana. Well, that was the name of the team in the damn movie.
Everything's okay with Richard?
Yeah, it's funny. When I talked to Gentry, I got a lot more info because Richard's done. He's retired. His last day's next week.
Okay.
But he's been working for Gentry.
The
And when Gentry was talking, he goes, now that I can give you full disclosure, now that he's quit, he goes, he wanted to do all the work for you guys. He likes you. Richard did not want to do shit for you guys. But when no one tells him this is going on and AJ refuses to pay him any more money and keeps piling more and more work to start a network, Richard said no. Had nothing to do with us. Had everything to do with Beasley. Not a shocker.
No.
Because it wasn't just the shit for us. It was all this other stuff he was piling on. And Richard's like, no. Pay me more. Get me help. Do something.
Right.
I'm quitting.
PFB Junior.
So that's interesting. He's working for Gentry, doing side stuff.
That side stuff.
It's hysterical.
Yo, man, let me tell you something, man. That's terrible. Yo, man.
Not bad. Your beginning needs work. The man's
goes-
good. The yo's bad.
Yo.
It's too high. I'm just telling you. The
Listen,
man you got down.
Listen, man.
He's doing Barkley.
Listen, man. Like, they don't take the game seriously, man. It's
Nah,
terrible.
you morphed into Spurrier all of a sudden.
Yeah,
you went
I don't
Southern.
know
I don't know
what's-
what happened.
I don't know what that was.
Quit while you're behind.
Listen, David, run the ball, Moulton.
Yes. It's my middle name and it's working.
You know what the D in David stands for?
Run
Run the damn ball.
I was the original Run DMC right there.
Oh, there it is. Oh,
This half Nelson thing will not leave the internet after it went up yesterday. That bad show with Pesci and
7, right?
7. Like this guy says, Pesci, Dick Butkus, Bubba Smith, Dean Martin. How did this not go 12 seasons?
It's like 85, right?
Yeah,
I mean, Goodfellas is 5 years later.
right.
Hey, did you see where somebody picked up Rajon Tucker the other day?
where someone picked him up?
Yeah,
Who picked him up?
I don't know. Some NBA team signed him.
Oh. Hold on, let me check. We're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. Hump Day edition. First one of 2022. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network.
Happy New Year, everybody.
It was our poll question yesterday for how long you can keep wishing people a happy new year. I'm a first week of the year guy. So to me, it works perfectly. Friday's the 7th. There you go. Bada bing, bada boom. We get into the weekend. I think, we move on.
Yeah, January 8th is the winner, getting nearly 50% of the vote. For whatever reason, the timing that I put, it's still got a couple minutes left. But not many of you said January 15th. Less than 10%. I'm going with February.
Mark's feeling inspired. He's upbeat. He got his car. In case you missed it, Mark got his car.
I put a down payment on November 30th and picked it up on January the 3rd.
That's okay. That's okay. I don't know if it's a win, but it doesn't feel like a loss anymore, right?
And it's not like I bought a Lamborghini, a Corvette, or something that had to be ordered and you wait a year and a half for it.
Right. No, it's a fairly common
Right.
thing, but hey, it's all right. Now your mother-in-law can come back and visit and you can pick her up in your own car. You don't have to borrow mom's anymore. Think about it.
I'm getting her an Uber next time.
You know what I think you should do? Just for what and giggles. Next time she flies down, you should pick her up in your mom's car.
Either that or just have my mom pick her up. I'm going golfing next time. Not taking this.
Nothing says my daughter has married a successful man quite like when he has to borrow mom's car to pick her up.
Oh,
yep.
Boy.
Hey, you provided a grandchild. You're good.
I don't know.
You're good.
I don't know. See, now the grandchild's old enough that she's looking at, grandchild and wife going, do you really need him?
Well, no, that's true. That's true. But at least, you served your purpose.
Darn right.
It was kind of like Diana. She produced the heir and the spare. After that, they really didn't want her anymore.
Ain't that the truth?
The people did, but they didn't.
Just I had to edit a few things in my head there, David. Whole new car and all. There was a lot of material there that I decided thought it would be best that we edit.
I got you. Do you remember a few years ago we were discussing Jim Harbaugh's future?
Right.
And boy, it seems like forever ago, but things weren't going well at Michigan. Do you remember that?
A few different times they've not been going so well at Michigan.
Right. In fact, like a year ago today.
Right. They wanted his head.
Yes. It was like, can we move on? And then the big debate, and they ended up restructuring his contract, and he did a bold move. He got rid of some of the longtime assistants that he's had, and he went younger, fresher, different approach. And obviously, we all know how this past year transpired. It worked out. But what is it that we said a few times over the years when we were discussing Jim Harbaugh and his tenure at the University of Michigan?
Well, we thought at some point he'd dip his toe back in the NFL waters.
That's one.
In order to do so, he had to beat the Ohio State Buckeyes.
There you go. Literally, and I jokingly on at least one occasion used the Gary Danielson line from LSU, Alabama in 2007, when Gary said, Les Miles needs to win this game to have a good life. All right. And that's how we felt about Jim Harbaugh.
There's no doubt.
Had to beat the Buckeyes at least once so he could have a good rest of his life.
And yesterday, of course, Harbaugh's name surfaces. There are thoughts that he may want to go back to the NFL.
Shocking.
Stunned.
Absolutely shocking. Right. And let's all do the face. Just make sure you keep both hands on the wheel. Don't hit anything. You can still do the face. You can look in the rearview mirror even and see how good your face is.
Exactly. That's well done, David. Well done.
Would prefer if you did it at a light or a stop sign, but hey, listen, be careful.
If you do it at a light or a stop sign, I'd like a selfie, and you could text the show. Keywords FSN radio. You text that to 21,000.
Would be great.
I'd love to see just a bunch of Home Alone faces right now.
Shocked. Oh my good. Jim Harbaugh maybe going back to the NFL. Oh my. We just thought he was a lifer at Michigan, considering they came within a whisker a year ago of sending him packing. Like, you don't think at some point in the last few years he said, man, if I beat those Buckeyes, I am out of here. So Harbaugh, late yesterday afternoon, Mark, is apparently, according to NFL sources. Now, do we want to just guess who NFL sources are?
I'll start with Stephen Ross.
You mean big-time Michigan alum who tried to hire him 10 plus years ago when he chose the Niners over the Dolphins? Yeah, I would guess Steven might be interested if Jim's services became available.
I mean, I'd start there. I'd start with someone in Ross's circle.
NFL sources. I was thinking agents.
Possibly.
I was thinking agents of those also who are thinking about an NFL job and are now hearing that Jim Harbaugh may be in their client's way.
I would think that's possible that with the news out of Chicago that Nagy's done yesterday, that if it was not an agent, that it could have been someone in the Chicago world trying to find out how much interest he had and trying to put that name out there.
Wait a minute. Matt Nagy's not going to be brought back as Bears coach?
That's what our friend Pat said yesterday during his show, which I was stunned because it wasn't really out there. And, Pat doesn't do rumors much.
Well,
we all know he's gone.
It's been known since Thanksgiving.
Right.
Remember that Pulitzer Prize winning reporter said they're going to fire him like midweek. And most of us think the only reason they didn't is because he reported they were going to fire him midweek.
So, initially my thoughts of where did this come from? Stephen Ross's circle or somebody in Chicago circle? You say agents, you're probably right. You have a better beat on how these things go than I do. But if it were a team, those are the teams that I would think would get something out there because they're fishing to see if he's interested or not.
I think there's three teams. One is Vegas. Apparently he's close with Mark Davis. Now, I don't know about close, but apparently they're friendly. And remember, when Harbaugh was at Stanford and then at the Niners, the Raiders were in Oakland. Their circles could actually cross and intermingle and what have you.
Possibly far more so when he was with Stanford than really with the Niners.
Right.
You would think they would be at similar, charitable events of the like.
And also, when he was at Stanford, Al was still around. And Mark was just dutifully at Dad's side.
And who doesn't want to sit down and have a few words with Al if you're a football person? I mean, really and truly.
Got that right.
You don't think Jim Harbaugh would want to sit down and pick Al's brain for a half hour?
Second, obviously, the Bears come to mind. He played there. He's a Midwest guy. And If he has an area of expertise, it would be what? Quarterback. They have a young one. Now, of course, it's rich as hell that he went to Ohio State. I mean, that's just gold right there. But, what have you.
Whatever.
And then there, of course, is Stephen Ross in South Florida, who's going to be like, whoa, hold on a second. I wanted you with the Dolphins. You said Niners. Then I made sure I took care of you. You had everything you needed at the University of Michigan. Now you're going to come back to the NFL? If you're leaving our alma mater, you're coaching for me. You got that? Well, you already have a coach. Yeah, I can take care of it.
Don't care.
I can take care of
Go
that.
blue.
Especially if the Patriots beat us on Sunday. Losing season? No, we can move on. Besides, I got Tua. You want to work with Tua? So I think that would be the big three. Raiders, Bears, with Stephen Ross always making the Dolphins in play.
They have to be.
So how much there do you think is there with Jim Harbaugh and kicking the NFL tires again?
20%.
Yeah, I think it's a touch higher.
1-5, 1-4 type thing is what no more than 25% to me.
Okay.
You may think it's a 1-3 chance. I think it's a 1-4, 1-5.
Yeah, I think it's closer to 1-3. I do. And I think, quite frankly, you'll know if he doesn't come out between now and Monday and issue a denial of some kind. And we all know they're worth the paper that they're printed on. But if you're worried about recruiting and the transfer portal.
And Jim just landed a big transfer, maybe the biggest lineman out there, up for whatever the award is for the best center. He was at Virginia. He transferred to Michigan.
And so if you're.
Or is transferring.
So if you're really invested and you think, I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to stay here at Michigan, you would want to come out fairly quickly and go, yeah, this is, you know what? It's funny. Everybody dumps on me because we didn't win enough. And then the minute we start winning, all right, they come after me and say I'm leaving because they're trying to tear us down. I mean, that's a really easy 3 to 5 minutes to come out and say. It's really easy. And in fact, you would think it would have to come out no later than today. Since these rumors started late yesterday afternoon.
And he doesn't have to even have a presser. He can just make a phone call. He could, for that matter, you could call Angelique Shangelis for the Free Press and say, hey, need to talk to you.
Yeah, this is crap.
This is a bunch of crap. Get out of story right now because I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
This is the same thing that happened before. This is somebody in Ohio. This is somebody in East Lansing trying to hurt our recruiting. You're absolutely right. You squash it and actually make your recruiting stronger by squashing it sooner than later.
So that's why I think it's closer to 33%. And if 24 hours goes by and there's no statement of some kind, then I actually think it's higher. That doesn't mean he's leaving, by the way. Somebody does have to hire him. I mean, there is no guarantee that he, in fact, will be hired. Like, if you're Mark Davis, what happens if the Raiders win Sunday? This interim coach took over, 5-6 games into the season? Leads you to the playoffs. Gruden never did that, by the way. I mean, you're just going to throw this guy on the street? Players have played their you-know-what off for him. I mean, they've gone on the road here since Thanksgiving and beaten both the Cowboys and the Colts. I mean, it's not like they ain't playing for this guy. I mean, he's a NFL lifer. Been around a long time. No reason he can't be your coach. Never mind anybody else who's out there. I mean, no guarantee that Ross would get rid of Flores.
No, there's no guarantee. But if Jim Harbaugh wants to coach in the NFL, I think there will be a team that would hire him.
I do as well.
In fact, I think we've already hit it. If it's not Miami, it's Chicago. Chicago, do it right now, David.
So there you have it. Jim Harbaugh and the NFL connected, at least in rumor, for the time being. 25 minutes before the hour. The starting five is next. Top of the morning to you, Wednesday edition, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
For Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home training system. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round to warm up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Because he's shifty. But I always bring up, I like my one buddy who I really think, if he would have worked, he had the size, he could have played on Sundays. He had that ability as a tight end. He was never the fastest kid, but he could juke. Basketball. He get the ball in the lane, big guy, against much better athletes, and he could get to the. There's certain people that have that.
Hezzy. Shutter. Hezzy.
What are you doing over there?
I don't know. Just let him.
Who are you impersonating?
Shifty.
Oh.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
There's no way Mike Hart's going to be the head coach at the University of Michigan.
The day that...
There's no way. He's a running backs coach.
Oh, Mike Hart. They said Mike McCarthy.
There's no way.
The day that the two of you have an opportunity to watch me play basketball is the day that I turn to Michael Jordan.
Uh-huh.
Jordan with the Bulls or the Wizards? Oh!
By the way,
Or the high school team that he got cut from.
Right. And not that he's bitter about it or anything. It was just the focal point of his Hall of Fame speech. He invited the guy who cut him to Springfield so he could humiliate him.
So Thursday after the show, we were going to check out a studio that.
Okay.
You're more than welcome to come.
Cool. Where is it?
It's at my buddy's house.
In Fort Myers?
Mm-hmm. He's the guy that runs all Shaq stuff.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
So you'll be giddy.
Yes.
You'll be shifty.
Put it this way. My guess is if you played driveway basketball against Gentry, he'd take you down.
Ooh, no.
I'm just saying.
I have the ass.
And since he's a DJ, I also think he'd be better at trash talking than you.
Oh, I don't know.
No.
I'm positive.
I know you don't think so.
And I'm positive he'd own you.
I know you think you're the best at it. Just ask you. But I'm telling you, my money's on Gentry.
I've been watching that Hakeem tape for too long. I'd back his ass down. I don't even know this guy. You know what my nickname for Chris Middleton is?
I don't.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Wizards. He's Wizards MJ. You said Wizards MJ, and
gotcha.
that is Chris Middleton. He is Wizards MJ.
By the way, Wizards MJ did average over 20 a game for 2 years.
Chris Middleton, 20, 22 a game.
Desval, by the way, I think in all seriousness, if Harbaugh left anytime soon, it would be either Matt Campbell or Luke Fickell. And it wouldn't take long.
Oh, wait, is our only guest Seth Everett today?
Yes.
Yeah, looks like it.
Wow, you see that? Oh, who won this game?
Florida.
Oh, my bad, not we. The Florida Panthers won this game.
Oh, no, it could be we. Hey, somebody has to claim them.
Yeah.
Actually, looks like there's a few people there.
Yeah, a lot of my friends were at that game. Let me tell you something.
Well, they're good.
I could be wrong. Yes, right.
They're really
They're
good.
showing up because they're good, but they're on the rise. Like,
They've been on the rise for 3 years. This is a really good team.
it's exciting because a lot of my Miami friends I'm seeing on social media more Panther love. And I appreciate it. Lived in Florida 21 years, and I have yet to see a Florida Panther.
I have
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
seen a couple of them.
Hmm.
Saw one coming back from a concert on coming from middle of the state on 82. And saw one on my way to Marco once.
Cool.
Yeah. My mom saw 3 coming to my house one time.
Whoa.
Mom and 2 cubs.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my wife's clients, she works for the university, and they have that whole Panther thing. So she'll come in with the pictures because they've got the infrared cameras out, the motion cameras and stuff. It's pretty cool.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"19 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, many different ways to take in this show. You can listen on the radio in Tampa, St. Pete, or Fort Myers, Naples. Coming soon. In fact, we were given a date and everything.
We've been given dates.
Coming soon in the next 2 weeks to Port Charlotte, Sarasota, and Lake City. Excited about that. The network doubling in size. But you can text the show, FSN Radio, all one word, FSN Radio, to 21,000, 21000. Do it once, and you can text us until your heart's content. We are always broadcasting live, at least weekdays, 6 to 10 a.m. on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. All right, and you can see us in our humble confines. Right now, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, the Browns have decided to shut down Baker Mayfield. They could have done so at halftime of the Monday night game. That probably would have helped their cause more. Certainly mid-third quarter. But anyway, Baker's done left shoulder surgery ASAP, and they think he'll be healthy enough for OTAs in May, June, whatever. But he'll be healthy enough for training camp, and we'll see what, if anything, happens on the contract front between Baker and the Browns. If you were the Browns, Mark, quickly, what would you do?
I'd bring him back next year, and I wouldn't be giving him a new contract, and we'd be figuring things out. Why is it? And sorry, I know you got, another 100 things to get to.
Not really.
But I know we've gotten to where you can't be a quarterback going into the last year of a deal and all of these things. I don't get it. I don't know whether or not he can play. So why would I give him a contract?
I'm with you. Listen, they picked up his option.
Right.
I mean, he's under contract for next year, and it's guaranteed, by the way, and it's good money. It's
really
20-something million. I mean, I don't feel badly for him.
And at some point, somebody's got to have the kahunas from a GM to say, I'm offering Baker Mayfield, similar to the Kaepernick deal. That when we first saw it, we went, what? No. It was a bunch of one-year deals. It was actually really team-friendly. So whether it's a Kaepernick, whether it's a Mayfield, or whether it's a Tua, a guy that you're not really sure about, well, why can't you offer him a contract that fits his talent? Why does every quarterback have to be the highest paid guy? Baker doesn't deserve it.
I agree. Some Tennessee Titans news. Remember, they are the 1 seed in the AFC. I know no one is taking them seriously outside of Nashville.
Well, you're the leader of that bandwagon, by
You're
the way.
damn right. This is 6 consecutive winning seasons, by the way, for the Tennessee Titans. 6 consecutive winning seasons.
Yeah, you don't buy them.
I mean,
You're not buying the Titans.
I am.
Are they getting Derrick Henry back?
Yes.
Well, if they get him back,
Derrick Henry. Yesterday, the Titans started the window on his return. When you bring somebody off long-term IR, you've got 21 days from the moment you activate the window to either he plays or he's done for the rest of the year. Well, think about it. They think they're going to win Sunday in Houston. Then
Right.
they're going to have a bye week. So they think they're not playing for
about 21 days.
yeah, say 18 to 21 days. Bada bing, bada boom. So they started the window, and Derrick Henry's practicing this week. He may even play a little bit on Sunday. Bud Dupree's also going to play on Sunday, even though he was charged with misdemeanor assault. Apparently, Mark, after the game, he went into a Walgreens in Nashville, and he grabbed the cell phone out of somebody's hands and got into a little bit of a verbal argument. And so and they charged him with misdemeanor assault. Jim Harbaugh is 58 years old, and now that he's had a little success at Michigan, the whispers are back about him returning to the National Football League. He has been linked with the Raiders. We think the Bears and the Dolphins would also be in play. College football bowl game last night, the Texas Bowl. K-State beat what's left of LSU 42-20. LSU didn't have a quarterback. Played that game running the Wildcat, basically the whole thing. Leading underclassman wide receiver, Mario Williams, has entered the transfer portal.
Imagine that.
So let me see.
It is an exodus out of Norman right now, David.
You know, it really is. And I know Big Game Bob and Brent Venables can have as many photo ops as they want, talking about the pride of Oklahoma and this, that, and the other thing. All I know is there's a lot more talent leaving than coming.
Right. 2 quarterbacks and a receiver so far, and that doesn't even get into the guys that he had signed to come that
Said,
decided
we're
not
good.
to.
We're good. We'll go elsewhere. Gators lost their second leading tackle, Diabate, the linebacker. Here's what's interesting. He transferred to Utah. You know who the Gators open up with next year?
Sounds like Utah.
They start with Utah in the Swamp. The Canes, listen, Mario's basically just putting the band back together. I mean, a good chunk of the guys he had at Oregon are following him to Miami. His strength and conditioning coach signed on a couple days ago. Now his co-offensive coordinator, Brian McClendon, also signed on. This guy's key because he is a recruiter with extensive ties in the Southeast, Brian McClendon. And Chris Winkie is the new quarterback coach at Georgia Tech. He was out of the game for a year after being let go in Tennessee when they made a regime change a year ago. Winkie now the quarterback coach at Georgia Tech. College basketball news, Mark, good news. 3/4 of the games that were scheduled in men's hoops last night got played.
They had good percentages across the board. NHL, NBA, college hoop. We had more played than not. That's a rarity.
28 of the 37 got played. I would say the game of the night, because the occasion of the night was in Baton Rouge. Tim Brando has spent the better part of a decade trying to get the court in the Maravich Center named after Dale Brown. And it happened officially last night. And then the Tigers came from 9 down mid-second half and beat Kentucky 65-60. Good for Tim Brando and good for Dale Brown. 16th ranked Providence, only ranked team to lose to an unranked team yesterday, and they lost by 32 to Marquette. Now that's a loss. Auburn, Baylor, Texas, Seton Hall, Duke, Kansas, and Mark, your Colorado State all won by at least 8 points. Those were the other ranked teams in action last night. Florida State's struggling. They lost to Wake by 22.
Ouch.
Yeah, 76-54. One other game in state, Liberty beat Stetson to begin the ASUN season for both schools, 75-59. NBA, 5 games scheduled, 5 games played. The Grizz won their 6th in a row. They went into Cleveland and beat the Cavs 110-106. Phoenix, trying to keep pace with the Warriors, beat the Pelicans by 13. Toronto, 25 better than the Spurs. Knicks beat the Pacers by 10. And 37-year-old LeBron James is playing his blank off.
Oh, yeah.
31 again last night for the undermanned Lakers to rally at home and beat Sacramento 122-114.
That was Felipe grunting and laughing on the air while wearing his LeBron jersey.
Lakers jersey.
Lakers jersey.
Right. Where's the Heat jersey?
My LeBron Heat jersey's at home, you know.
What? Well, why?
Well, I mean, he's on the Lakers right now.
So?
And he's wearing it over a hoodie.
I thought it was going to be a little colder this
I mean, you are wearing a basketball jersey over a hoodie.
Right.
I mean,
Would you rather be no hoodie, just skin? It's cold.
do you have?
I would think of Patrick Ewing. I would think you'd be going with the T-shirt and the
Right.
jersey. I
The
mean,
Georgetown,
the Zoe
Lonzo
look.
Morning, the
you know,
Zoe look.
there you go.
well,
See,
no, it's
once
the
again,
Patrick Ewing look.
It
Okay?
is.
Right.
Stop it.
Patrick Ewing started it, yes.
Yes, he did. Listen, next you're probably going to go
So
Crocs and socks, right? That's next.
So much about this kid I like, but so much that makes me want to punch him right in the nose.
Oh, stop
Whoa.
it. That's because you see yourself in the mirror. That's why. Lightning 7-2 over Columbus. They had lost 3 in a row. They took it out on the Blue Jackets. Palat with 2 goals and an assist, and that snaps the skid. Meanwhile, the Panthers have won 4 in a row, 6-2 over Calgary. Don't look now, but the Bruins have gotten their act together. 5-3 over New Jersey. They've won 3 in a row and points in 8 of their last 10. Winnipeg, after Paul Maurice stepped aside, have won 3 in a row. They beat Arizona 3-1. And if you're not into hockey.
And thank you for that, because there is no other show in the southern United States that gave a Winnipeg, Arizona score. So I'm very fired up that you got that in. That's fantastic,
No
David.
problem. Well, there's only 5 games. I figured I'd
No.
give a
I'm
little-
not. You think I'm knocking? I'm actually really fired up because nobody gave that score.
No. Hell, I don't even think they did in Arizona. And they were involved. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll say it right now. The goal of the year in the NHL, check it out. Cale Makar in overtime for the Avs in beating the Blackhawks 4-3. There are people that have covered the Avs franchise from day one that say it might be the best goal in franchise history. Cale Makar, overtime, Avs against the Hawks, 4-3 winner for Colorado. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Oh, by the way, Connor McDavid tested positive for COVID. And that, at 8 minutes before the hour, is...
That was the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Got the poll question up, David.
What is it?
Well, it's Harbaugh based. Will he be coaching in the NFL next year? Very simple. Will Jim Harbaugh be coaching in the National Football League next season?
So
yes or no?
So just a yay or nay
Just
question?
a yay or nay.
It's that kind of a morning, is it?
It is.
I like it. It's tough for us to screw up a yay or nay question.
We can.
Yes, we can. Nobody gets in their own way. There's no radio show in America that screws up their own poll questions quite like us.
I think that's an accurate statement. I think that's really accurate. By the way, do you think he coaches in the league next year? I do not. Oh, wait a minute. What's going on over there?
Like I told you, I think there's some there, and I think today is the tell. You know, late yesterday, we have no idea where Jim Harbaugh is yesterday. It could be out on the road recruiting, the whole deal. But by today, if you want to address this, you can wherever you are, vacation, a recruit's home, whatever, you can get the word out today that this blank stops here.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. And I know you've said it's just a desire to go back. There's part of me that says if he leaves, he knows he's losing a bunch of seniors, and this was a one-off, that he's not as close as he thinks he is. Or that Michigan fans think he is.
And I think it's more to do with the fact that, listen, he was always going back. Now or never.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, Crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M, only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know, I actually have seen a deer. I've seen deer like plural in Estero. And I've actually seen deer just off the campus of FGCU. I actually saw a dead deer one time on Ben Hill Griffin. Right in front of University Village, just laying there. I was like, what the hell? There's deer here? Oh, might as well talk about the NBA. The Heat are on a tough road trip right now. We played amazing, and I mean amazing, against the Warriors on the defensive end. Yet we lost. We held Steph Curry to 9 points. I don't know if you saw that. He played horrible. I mean, he had 10 assists, shot a horrible percentage, but he had 3 fouls
I got to admit,
halfway through the second quarter.
the affiliate news to me is one of those things in which I'm like, you know what? I think we're going to make it.
Well, and I said to him yesterday, like I said to Marty, I said, you know, we had actually, I was really positive, but I was holding his feet to the fire, being like, you would have been laughing listening to the way I was speaking. But I'm like, I go, Marty, I go, you know, we got the first thing, we got on the air. I go, this to me is number 2. Now we got the affiliates, and number 3, we got to sell this fucker. So, and I said to him, I go, we need to sell that local hour. I go, they're not helping, they don't care. But did you see the emails yet? Were you on the email chain between the iHeart people for the Port Charlotte station? Are you on that? I think I'm on it because I know Lewis. But apparently they want us to come over there Friday.
Yeah. No, apparently they're coming to the iHeart.
Well, yeah, that's
It's right by my house.
Right. Well, they all work
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah. Oh,
They're
okay.
doing everything out of here.
Right.
Oh, it got hit by a car.
Yeah, I mean, they want sales materials, and they want you have promos, and you
Right.
know,
I saw that.
right, like
Right.
they're treating it like it's a real thing.
Yeah. Right.
Well, they're going to start selling it locally. That'll be good for us. That'll get people around here fired up. Oh, I can imagine, JS.
Isn't that sad?
It's no, it's like that zoo story, which I know a lot more about that I can't share. All I can say is be patient, everybody.
A zoo?
The guy that stuck his arm in the tiger cage and they had to kill the tiger.
No way.
Yeah.
Where did that happen?
Naples Zoo
last week.
What an idiot. Why would you stick your arm?
Because he was drunk and he was an idiot.
Like his arm was ripped off.
His arm's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because this just in, the
tiger went tiger.
Tiger.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
the tiger with giant fangs as teeth.
Yeah, I don't understand. I still don't really understand why they had to shoot the tiger, but
I don't either. Don't know why they couldn't have waited till they got a tranquilizer. I guess they were trying to save the guy.
they were, because
Right.
I think he might not. I mean, there's a lot of people that think they shot the wrong animal.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is a minute and a half past the hour, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Seth Everett scheduled to join us next hour. One of the good things about Wednesday, every day of the week has its own rhythm, sports-wise. Mondays and Tuesdays are largely still looking back, and there are a few things that are happening as well. Thursdays and Fridays are oftentimes looking ahead, while a few things have started back up. Wednesday is a day in which you can take inventory, if you will. And I think that many of us during the course of the week also, how's your week going? By Wednesday, enough of the week's already happened. You're starting to render a verdict on the week. How are things going? So far, pretty good. How's the week going? Oh, man, it's been rough.
Been a good week.
Right. So,
love your analogies. I really do.
I don't know if they
nobody,
work or not.
Nobody has broken down 7 days better than Moulton did right there. By Wednesday, you figure out whether or not you're having a good week or not.
Right. You could render a verdict if you had to. It's kind of like name that tune. I would like a couple more notes, but if not, I think I could make a good guess right now.
How many days do you need to know whether or not you're going to have a good week? You know what, Jim? I'll take 2 days. 2 days, Jim.
Right. 3:00 Tuesday, and I can render a verdict. So, but if it's okay with you, and if it's not,
Tough.
Well, no, you've got a mic. I feel free. Take the show and run with it. If it's okay with you, I would like to, with our audience, try to take a little inventory.
Okay.
It might be too soon, but I don't think so. And what I'm getting at is the state of college football. In the last few days, a few things have happened that really getting people bent out of shape. And by now, we're seeing the effects of the transfer portal, NIL, and we have basically just had a bowl cycle come and go with the transfer portal and NIL in full bloom. And there are an awful lot of people. And last week we highlighted Kirk Herbstreit. Or last week, hell, it was Monday. See, how well is the week going? Well, Monday seems like last week. Boom. So
this week's taking a little while. Maybe not as good as you thought.
I'm going to say, wow, this week's going a little longer than I thought. So we highlighted Kirk Herbstreit, basically saying, the players today just don't love football the way that we did back in the day.
They don't love the game. We would have played for free. We weren't getting paid by alumni.
Right.
Of course you weren't, Kirk.
There were no $100 handshakes.
You were a quarterback at Ohio State. You never got a dime.
Everything, I'm sure, was on the up and up.
Mm-hmm.
But there are quite a few people now that are convinced that, this sport's actually trending in the wrong direction. This is not going to work for me. This is too messy for me. And this is too much like Sundays for me.
It was always like Sundays. We just didn't know how the sausage was made, David.
I know.
And now, not only are we finding out how the sausage was made, we're getting our choice of what kind of sausage we want. Do we want the transfer portal sausage? Do we want the NIL sausage? I mean, there's a lot to choose from of where this game is going, where it's heading. I just pulled up 24/7 Sports. Bud Elliott, who's a regular guest, this is his baby. They now have their own page just to keep track of transfers. Not just keeping track, but ranking which schools are doing the best in acquiring transfers. I do want to let you know, Alabama's ranked 3rd.
Well, they need the help. I mean, it's tough to get good talent to come to Tuscaloosa. Who the heck wants to play for that Nick Saban guy? He's 70 after all. So it's a good thing that they can dip into the transfer portal and get some help when they need it.
I mean, David, in the top 10 rankings of transfers, there are only 2 ranked schools on here. And Purdue might end up in the ranking, so maybe 3. But I'm looking like Texas is on there. Well, yeah, they need help. Florida State's on there. That makes perfect sense to go to the transfer portal. Michigan State's made a living on it. That's what Mel Tucker's doing.
And you would think, quite frankly, Michigan State will be one of those schools forever going forward.
As long as Mel Tucker's there, they're going to be a top-ranked transfer. He's got 2 people whose job it is to pay attention to this. But Alabama's on there.
Right.
I mean, I really, I didn't do this to bring up what Tucker's doing. USF, by the way, currently by 24/7, the number 1 ranked team.
South Florida.
Yes.
Nice. That's outstanding because, boy, they need it.
They do. And they played hard at the end of the year.
Right. And there are a lot of people that believe in this coach.
Right.
I mean, he was Dabo's offensive coordinator, after all, during their heyday.
Well, you and I have never been more wrong than what's happened at USF. Because we've thought they've got the right guy a couple of times, and it did not work
Well,
at
the
all.
Skip Holtz one shocked me. I thought that was perfect fit. Family in Orlando and Port Charlotte. It was the perfect location. You could see where he literally could have spent the rest of his career there. He had been a winner everywhere he had been. You thought, wow, this is perfect fit.
And it just failed miserably.
Yeah, got off to a good start, and then pooh.
And so hopefully this guy gets it going. But right now they're currently the number 1. That's what I would expect to see.
Right. A bad program that needs help and also can offer playing time.
Like Kansas is on that list.
There you go.
That's a school that should be living in the transfer portal.
Only for the rest of time.
Correct. Purdue's on there. They should be living in the transfer portal.
Right. The middle of the road
Of
Power 5 schools
Yes.
should be living in the transfer portal.
And no offense to Florida State and Texas, that's where you are right now.
Now, once you get it going.
If I'm
Right.
not going to say once, because we've been saying that about Texas for a decade. And it's starting to get a while now with the Knowles. So if.
One thing I will say about Texas, remember, USC had a 12-year period before Pete Carroll in which they looked an awful lot like Texas is looking now. If this guy's the right guy, which is the if, but if they have the right guy, they can literally turn it around in a year.
Absolutely. And I've mentioned 500 times on this show, Texas and Kentucky, the way they've set up their NILs, they've got this right. They've already have the infrastructure to do NIL right. That's a big thing to me.
But PFBJR is what the gentleman goes with in our Twitch chat room.
I just go with PBR. I skip the other letters.
The other stuff?
I just call him Pabst Blue Ribbon. That's
Okay.
all he is to me.
All right, PBR. He said, Sundays don't have free agency like this. And he may be tongue-in-cheek in saying that, but his point, I think, is that, listen, this is even a little bat blank crazy for NFL, NBA free agency. I mean,
Well,
this is nuts.
Right, because they do. One's called the draft, the other's called free agency. This is recruiting and transfer. So there is a point that you have there with that there's more, because at least in the pro leagues, they have to draft half of it.
Well, but also the roster size is twice as big on Saturdays. And I think that's what he's getting at, is that, you can just have complete upheaval on a college roster, which seems as if it is far more upheaval than an NFL team that turns over their roster. And once again, it doesn't have to be based in reality, Mark. College is very much a perception, a feeling, that almost intangible that's in the air that they live on, that pro sports does not live on.
David, let me ask you this question, because I think this is really relevant to our conversation. I've told you a million times, I play golf. I'm a member at a country club. I'm really young there, for the record, at 52. I'm a junior. I'm a junior member, essentially.
Wait, 50? You're allowed to be a member at a country club in Florida?
David, do you realize I get a discount on my dues because I've not yet reached my 56th birthday?
That is outstanding.
And that's not a joke. I've got 3 more years of reduced dues because I will not turn 56.
That is amazing.
You think? So that lets you know the type of people that I play golf with. They're all in their 60s or older.
Is that
for the most part?
Is that the equivalent of going out and being carded?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You know,
but I only bring that up because the guys I hang with are much older. And David, they hate this.
Right.
I mean, they absolutely hate it. So I wonder, because it doesn't bother me a bit. It doesn't bother you a bit. Yet.
Yes. And I feel as if I would be a hypocrite if, after pounding the table for years, I said I wanted to try this. I felt that this was only right. Only, hate to use this word, fair. If the sport was going to allow the adults to break contracts and make obscene amounts of money on the backs of these student athletes, I felt that they were entitled. Remember, it was Steve Spurrier at SEC Media Days 12 years ago who said, I think these guys deserve at least a stipend. Okay, and he was willing to take it out of his own pocket and pay his South Carolina players $200, $300, $400 a game. He felt they at least deserved that. And Steve Spurrier was as clean as a whistle as a head coach when it came to recruiting.
Never anything.
At Duke, Florida, or South Carolina, nothing. Zip, zilch, nada. Turned people in fact. He wanted to keep the sport so clean. And yet he said, we really should be giving these guys $300 handshakes for playing on Saturdays. It's the least we could do.
And I think most of you know this, but people want to blame the system. This is the NCAA's fault, everybody. They had ample time to put something in, and they kicked the can down the road and wanted the government to take care of it. They have no backbone and never had. So they're the reason we are at where we are at. Certainly not the kids' fault. It's not the athlete's fault.
Well, I'll tell you what, I will ask this question after the break. It's a really simple question. For those that are not happy with the state of affairs, right? I will ask a simple question, and then we can assess blame and render a verdict and all that. Miller and Moulton, Seth Everett in a little over an hour here on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Still haven't been to Felipe's.
with one arm.
I feel like
Yeah,
I'm
well.
doing myself
Yeah,
a
right.
disservice.
Totally. We had to kill the fucking perfect.
But yeah, she told she's like, I can't shoot. This is not on the record. What I'm telling, because
Well, just-
yeah, that's why I just got to. But it's
while working. Yeah, I got to admit, I would not have shot the tiger.
I think like this guy says, the guy would have been dead if they didn't. Yeah.
All right.
It was in the middle of the night too. I just watched,
Yeah.
I just watched it.
It was the cleaning crew was there. He was a cleaner. He was a contracted, employee, if you will.
Right.
Kind of like we are.
Right.
By the way, I loved Air Force in 18 last night. There was no way they were covering that game.
Right.
That's a big number.
Right. Yeah, we said
And
that.
they're a rival.
It was like
I mean,
19 and a half.
They're both right around Colorado State.
Totally,
I mean, they're in
yeah.
the same backyard.
Right.
That's
Wait, what was the final score of that game?
8.
Oh,
By the way, did you? I mean, I was just looking through the scores. I somehow missed it this morning. I did not realize that Providence lost by
Yeah, I had it. 32.
32.
Yeah. Ed Cooley is not going to take that well. He is going to practice those boys into the ground over the next couple of days.
Fam, I don't know if they can do that only because until the scholarship becomes a 4-year scholarship, fam, how could the NIL be a 4-year deal? You know what I mean? Those players don't matter. It's only football players.
Fam, here's my thing. Have you ever talk to a big time booster? They'll throw money at it till the day they die. They really will. Okay. And they'll just, oh, well, we took a shot on this kid. He didn't work out. Where's the next one? Yeah, we got to have him. Can't allow him to go to A&M.
I mean, it's Nick Nolte's speech from Blue Chips.
And Desval, in a way, it is. Because remember, the colleges were saying, we can't afford to pay.
And that's why
Because then we'd have to pay the wrestlers, the gymnasts, and what have you. So now the system's set up to do what? To have us pay.
Right. I mean, look back at that Mel Tucker deal and see how significant that's going to be going forward. 2 boosters did that. University didn't come off their hip. And there is an obscene amount of wealth out there right now. An obscene amount of money out there.
As we all know.
But we've never had this type of gap between the uber rich and the rest of us. Ever.
Oh.
That's how Kentucky lost.
Yeah.
That is so Kentucky. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Good for them. By the way, the Panthers are the best team in hockey ever when trailing.
Well,
I have
always
never
trailing.
seen a team who's losing every game and wins
Right.
every night.
Down 2-0. Got him just where
This
we
was
wanted.
this was the Everblades back to 1 year in Jacksonville when we used to just be 5-2 going to the third, and Buck would just look and go, "All right, you guys ready to go?" They had the Razor played in the Olympics, goalie played in the Olympics like 90.
Was he the one who 92 took him to the
I think so. Razor and Buck used to just own him. I mean,
Ray something, wasn't it?
Yeah. He'll have this.
They finished 4th in 92, and he was the one that stood on his head, because they played the Russians in the semis again in 92. People were trying to say it was 1980 all over again.
Right. Ray.
Didn't it start with an L?
15 seconds.
I don't know. This will take Buck's on his. I'm guessing he's on his walk right now. This should happen pretty quickly.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, a only on the Florida Sports Network.
"19 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network. Seth Everett will join us about an hour from now. We're talking big picture. What's going on in big-time college sports and whether or not you're okay with it. We are just now, we've gone pretty much a full cycle of NIL, transfer portal, the combination of the two, how schools can remake an entire program overnight. They can also have their program remade for them overnight. I mean, Oklahoma football, kind of a big deal. Somewhat prestigious, wouldn't you say? They're having guys leave right now like there's a plague going on. Now, in theory, there's another one look just like them who could come in and replace them, but it's staggering the talent that has decommitted and or walked out the door on Oklahoma in the last week and a half.
In the transfer portal, 4 of the top 20 players in the nation that are in the portal are former Oklahoma players.
Oklahoma. One of the top 6 programs in the sport right now. I don't see how that's arguable.
Right. It doesn't get much more royalty than Oklahoma.
I mean, they're not on the top tier, but they are on the half tier below it. And they're looking up as opposed to looking down. But the point I wanted to bring up, for those that, the reason that I am willing to live with how messy this is right now, not knowing if it's ever going to get any better, any less messy, more under control, whatever it is that you're looking for, is Lincoln Riley. Mark, you know this, and so you're going to want to shut me up because you've heard me say this for 15 years. But I honestly, as people who now have to work with a contract, I have never understood why it is that universities have allowed athletic directors and coaches who are under contract to willfully walk away from the contract. Why is it that they then put clauses in the contract which allow them to walk away from it, making the contracts useless? Never understood it. Why, if you're Oklahoma, would you allow Lincoln Riley to leave? You signed him to a 5-year deal at $7 million per. How is that not enforceable? It is in all the pro sports. You can't just get up and leave. Hell, it's called tampering. Organizations get fined. How can Lincoln Riley get up and leave Oklahoma on a dime for USC if they haven't allowed it to happen? And once they allowed the adults to do whatever they want, how could it not someday trickle down to what it is we have now?
It's a great point. We do have people saying similar things on the text line. You want to text the show. The keyword is FSN radio. You text that to 21,000. Once you've done that once, you can just keep texting as much as you want. This person says, plus there is some requirement to play out a contract on Sunday. They're letting anybody move anywhere they want on Saturday. Yes, they are. This person says, and what he's fine with it until the top 6 players at Alabama say we'll all transfer to A&M for $1 million each.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it would be ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I have no problems, by the way, if we want to sit down and draw up new parameters. If this just gets so messy.
And I think they will. I think at some point by the end of the decade that they're going to, and maybe even before that they're going to assess this again. It doesn't go away, but maybe, I know it sounds crazy, maybe instead of letting other people set the rules, they'll set the rules themselves.
All right.
I know it's a wild concept of the sport actually being in charge of the sport.
Well, the problem is there's no one person or no one entity that's in charge of the sport. As we've talked about, every conference is its own entity, and you could see where certain conferences would play by certain rules. Some would be stricter than others, more moral than others. I mean, come on. In the SEC, it's fend for
But we're
yourself.
supposed to let them transfer once. That was going to be the rule. You can pick up at any time and
Right.
go.
And I would have no problem, by the way, if we only allow one. And then this next time you've got to sit out. I have no problems with that. But I don't think we can allow coaches to just get up and leave and not allow kids to get up and leave. Not once. I mean, got to be allowed.
When head coaches in the NFL have left, it's been a draft pick. I mean, when Gruden left, they got draft picks. It's not unprecedented that a coach in the middle of a contract has gone to coach another team.
Right, but you literally had to make a trade. That'd be great if Oklahoma could have gotten 2 recruits from USC.
Or if USC loses 2 scholarships for taking a coach.
But once again,
there's not one person in charge.
Right. There's no Goodell to be able to put those rules into place. There's no Rooney rules that could be established.
And the irony is, David, I think Greg Sankey, while everything's working out for him, if you told Greg, I want you to be the grand poobah of college football, I think he might take the challenge. Even though the SEC dominates, he's the one that's wanted to increase the playoff. He seems to be at the forefront of all of these things. He seems to want to be in charge without being in charge. And I know Warren wouldn't want that in the Big Ten, and I know Bowlesby wouldn't want it in the Big 12, but if you are ever going to stop this, you need to have one person in charge.
It'll never happen because I don't think you can get the Power 5 conferences. You can't get them to agree to turn over their power to that one person.
But here's all I'm saying, down the road, with transfers, with the NIL, with all of these things going on, 3, 4, 5 years from now, in order to rein it back in some way, they may need to do something that they never thought they would do in 2020. And by 2025, they're going, the only way to fix this is to have one voice. And that, by the way, is when the sport splits away.
FSN radio to 21,000, FSN radio to 21,000, or you can watch or listen twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton and chime in our Twitch chat room. By the way, follow the show, subscribe. A lot of different options if you are a part of our Twitch family. Mark, I can see a disconnect between Nick Saban and the Alabama fan. I could see where the fans would call in to Birmingham and Tuscaloosa radio and be like, listen, and then, we're at the top of the game and this is too messy for me. I don't like this. This is too much turnover. Okay, fine. And I'm sure Nick doesn't like it. But I don't think Nick will spend 10 minutes trying to turn back the clock. I think Nick will just look forward, just like Jimbo and Kirby and all the other coaches, and what they'll just accept the reality. It's kind of like when a player gets injured.
It's what Coach K took a while to do in basketball.
Absolutely.
The good football coaches aren't saying, well, Dabo's the one. I mean, who's getting left behind right now? Dabo Swinney, because he is trying to do it the same way that he's always done it, while everyone else has changed their formula. And he's got to get on with the program, or Clemson could get left in the dust here.
Right.
So your point's 100% correct, David. 100%.
And you could see where the fan base may actually not be crazy about how the sausage is being made. But the people making the sausage are just going to put their head down, and they're basically going to turn around to the money people and the 87 analysts that they have and say, well, how is it that we can get ours? Okay. I can't worry about how broken it is. It's just a different kind of broken. Okay. And actually, see, here's the other thing. I could argue, if I was a big time Division I coach, that things are easier now. It's all out in the open. I've had to hide the cheating in the past. We all had to hide the money. You don't think that there was money flowing in the past? You don't think that players were being bought in the past? Of course they were. There was an entire underground network that was set up. All right. We never saw the cash exchange hands. Now we have formal contracts. We have
agencies holding press conferences saying, this is what we just signed our volleyball players for. It's all out in the open. I actually think it makes life easier for the Nick Sabans of the world that it's all out in the open. It makes it maybe way too unseemly for the people in the stands, but I actually think it makes it easier for the guys in the red golf shirts on the sidelines. Am I wrong?
No. And when I started this, David, I brought up the fact that I play golf with a lot of older guys who don't like this. I actually think, David, this is generational. I don't think our generation has the problem that a generation older than us has. And I think the younger you get, the less they even care. Like, Felipe, do you care whether they're getting NIL money? You're a Miami fan. It seems to me all you want is the NIL money to go to Miami guys so they get good.
Now, my thing with NIL money is, will it affect the markets of where you play? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like will the Nebraska Cornhuskers take a hit because of it?
Yes. If they can't offer as much money, they'll get worse players than the other, teams in the Big Ten.
But Miami's not going to have more NIL money because they're in a top 10 market and Nebraska's in it. I mean, Texas and Kentucky have already proven that. If the alumni does their job, Gainesville, Florida's market 580 for crying out loud.
Right.
But they put this Gator Collective together, and they're going to have millions of dollars to be paying athletes in a very short time. Kentucky, Texas have set up big 501c3s, charitable companies, if you will, to pay their players.
See, I actually think this is an opportunity for Nebraska, where in the past they've had to get people on campus and look around. Hey, you've got nice facilities. We're in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I've got other options that, quite frankly, for a variety of reasons, they win more. They're not in the middle of nowhere. The weather's not as bad. I got better options. And Nebraska now could, in theory, look at them and go, yeah, but we're offering more money than all those schools.
True.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then guess what? I think I'll have to wear layers.
But by no means, I guess maybe I would ask you this way. Does it at all sour your taste of college football?
Yes.
What, the NIL?
Does it sour your taste of college football?
Yes.
I mean,
It obviously does.
It certainly changes it.
Yes.
I'm surprised because I didn't think the Felipes of the world would have a problem with it. And by your voice, you do.
Well, no, I don't have a problem with it. I've always felt that college athletes should be able to make money off their name and likeness, but it like nothing will ever be the same.
No,
Nothing.
It's professionalized.
Right.
And there was always, it's a lot like the Olympics. I mean, let's be honest.
Kinda, yeah.
All right. The Olympics are not the cute little Olympics
No.
that we watched in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. All right. You know why? Because the U.S. got their ass kicked in the 88 Winter Games. And George Steinbrenner said, this is never going to happen again. And George Steinbrenner said, the other countries are offering money to their athletes. We're going to offer money too. We need to come up with a system to better subsidize our amateur athletes so that they can continue to train, all right, while still working their regular jobs and all that. And we need to come up also with a bonus system, by the way. You win a gold, you get blank, silver blank, bronze blank. And guess what? We've been kicking ass in the Olympics for 30 years ever since.
yeah, we basically been saying blank you to everybody else from that point on.
So now it's reached college athletics.
Well, it had always reached college athletics.
Right, but now
it's above board. It's out in the open.
But like when we start seeing college athletes, well, we already do start seeing college athletes like in commercials.
Yeah, right.
That's unheard of.
It is,
Yeah.
but do you have a problem with it?
No, I mean, they're making money.
But I think a lot of people do and will, and you got to remember, college athletics is ultimately bankrolled by those people.
Right. And the argument is obviously you're paid with your scholarship and this and that.
Well, those days are gone because the stipend was there. Look at yes, there are people that think that was enough, but those days have come and gone.
Correct.
I don't see it having the popularity issue that I think the two of you do, which, 2 against 1 right here. I'm obviously on the wrong end of this. I have no problem. I mean, not only do I have no problem with it, I think it will actually help the sport, not hurt it.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll see.
That should be the poll question.
What's the most popular league in the world?
That's a good poll
in this country?
The National Football League.
Okay.
Right.
So you're trying to get more like the National Football League.
right.
Okay. That's, as a business model, makes sense to me.
I suppose. I mean, I'll tell you what, the NCAA games coming back is gonna.
All
See,
back to a video
There
game.
we go.
That's all back to a video
There
game.
we
See,
go.
he's back.
Right.
All it took is
This money thing is cute and all, but when am I going to be able to buy that EA game?
that's not Aaron Andrews.
Oh, look at the time. 25 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Ugly story that I could interject into the show and derail the show at any time.
I'd really rather you not.
Well, I just 8:15 before Seth. That's
Okay.
that's
fine.
no, I wouldn't do it now. David, the 90-day, let me just give you the headline. This is from the UK. 90-day fiance star who made 38,000 pounds a week selling farts in a jar
Oh my God.
hospitalized.
I saw that. Oh
I
my God.
don't know what to say to that.
No, she had like a heart attack or something.
By the way, the Flurona. How hard did you laugh at my guy OMG Wicks, the Flurona?
Yes. No, it was great.
God, he's funny.
Yep.
The one before that I didn't bother to send you, he's got the flu and he's got the Rona. And they're
Mhm.
looking at one another like, what if we join forces, man? And they jump into one another.
That's
That was part one.
the Flurona.
Yeah. And that's why you see the beginning. Ooh, I feel good. Yeah. He had another one for New Year's he calls whatever he calls the Omicron. He has a whole different name for that. He doesn't even call it the real name. He's like, he's going up for news. Wait, you're not putting a mask on? No, I'm not putting a mask on. It's New Year's Eve, man. We're going. Are you coming or not?
Apparently, half the world is pronouncing it wrong. Like all media outlets are saying Omicron, but it's actually Omicron.
Who cares, Akron?
Who cares, Akron? How about that? There you go.
I would think, by the way, getting back to you said you talked to a certain someone. I would think it wouldn't matter if her TikToks were any good or not.
David, there's so many beautiful people on that
No, I know.
that they've got to be like. I actually was showing Eve. There's a couple. I've never seen the guy. It's this gorgeous redhead, and like the guy, they're always cute. Like they're fun. He's like, "Can I have a bite of your sandwich?" And obviously they're set up, or if they're not, she says he grabs it. And it's like one of us. And he just and eats like, and you just see her face. Like, what? I was hungry. Well, go ahead and have the whole thing. I'm just kidding. I'll go get you whatever you want. She's like, "Give me a McFlurry and a McDouble," and she goes, "And a baby." That's how it ends. It's like, but I mean, like, there's ones that I see that like hers aren't.
Right.
She's cute.
Right.
She's also, remember, she's 10 years older. She's in her.
I know. Mid-30s.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, I know.
still
Oh, I'm sure.
they're a gorgeous couple, both of them. Her husband's just as good looking as she is.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean,
I would hope so.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty people. I hate them both. There was a thing. I had sent her a thing a while back because Tween Waters was looking for like a young couple to model. I'm like, hey, because she lived on Captiva.
Right.
I'm like, this should be you guys. I don't think she got it though.
What was that poll question that you said? That
Will college football be better?
Yeah. Will major college sports be better when this all shakes out.
Oh, like, yeah, for better or for worse, pretty much. I mean, look, it will. It's gonna bring money into college football. Like, it'll bring more money. You don't think so?
Yeah, no, it will, but it will seem like it is bringing a staggering amount of more money because it will all be above board.
Right.
When there has been an incredible underground economy that has been bankrolling big time college athletics for
Ever.
60 years.
Yes. Right.
But you know how people feel, when you see something, it's kind of like the person doing the books and you're hiding the debt. And all of a sudden somebody sits down and they open up the books and you go, oh my God, we owe that much money? Yeah.
But, like, for example, you have the case of that kicker from UCF. Remember, he had a YouTube channel and he
Mhm.
had to choose whether he wanted to do YouTube
Right.
or football.
And he chose
couldn't do
YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. This goes back however many years, the kid at Colorado was also a skier.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And he chose
Also a returner, right, for Colorado.
and he chose, he quit football.
But now that won't have to happen,
Correct.
which is good.
I agree.
And plus, now they're going to be celebrities. Now it's going to be weird. We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Little past the midway point of Miller and Moulton on this Wednesday, at least for those of you in Tampa, St. Pete, approaching the midway point at the top of the hour for those of you in the 239. By the way, if you missed it last night, Browns announced Baker Mayfield, shoulder surgery, out for the rest of the year, effective immediately. Derrick Henry, he may even play Sunday, but coming off IR, going to practice a little bit this week, but the Titans certainly getting him ready for the playoffs, which they hope won't start until January 22nd or 23rd. They're hoping to be the one and get the bye. And there are whispers about Jim Harbaugh wanting a return to the NFL, the 58-year-old Wolverine head coach. And there are stories saying that both the Raiders and the Bears would be interested. And it is our thought that if anyone is interested, it will be Stephen Ross and the Miami Dolphins.
This couldn't be Jim's agent trying to get Jim more money after he had to take a little pay cut last year, is it?
I don't think so.
I don't either. And the main reason I don't is that Jim gave so much money away this year. I mean, Harbaugh paid countless University of Michigan employees what their pay cuts were during the pandemic out of his own pocket.
Right.
So I don't I've seen a few people go, well, Franklin got paid, Tucker got paid, Jim wants to get paid. I don't buy that. He's already been paid once.
And I think, if anything, Jim knows enough important people that he would lean on them and he would just say, hey, you need to figure out a way to give more money to the athletic department to take care of other people. I don't need to, you don't have to put the money on the books for me, but we need to get more money on the books for this. Think you guys can take care of that? Sure, coach. Whatever you want, coach.
You beat Ohio State, whatever you need.
Right.
It's all that matters.
Just stay, coach. Whatever you need, stay. Big picture, you hit on it at the end of the last segment, in which you wonder whether or not going forward, the current college sports fan is going to conclude, whether it's now, a year from now, 3 to 5 years from now, are they going to conclude that the new world order that we're in, that college sports is better or worse than it was in the 2010s? mean, that's essential. If you accepted college sports late into last decade, now all you know what has taken place again. You like it as much, the same, worse,
And
better?
I'm focusing it really just on football, not on will college sports be better? Because David, quite frankly, I don't care. I don't care if college softball or college baseball or college hockey or college gymnastics is better. I don't. My wife's going to care if college gymnastics is better. Some of you will care about college baseball, but I care about college football. We don't care about college hoop anymore until the second week of March. We just don't.
And you say that as a country because obviously we do.
You and I love it.
Right.
Unless it's gambling, of course.
No, actually, no. I don't know anybody that bets college basketball on a regular basis. I mean, yeah, the occasional throw down some money.
Occasionally. Yeah.
But it's not, I don't, my degenerate gambler friends aren't making their living on college hoop. They make it on football. And is college football going to be better because of this?
And you're going to, I think, be surprised at my answer. Even though I am in favor of everything that is going on right now, because I think, quite frankly, it is only fair.
And I'll leave it at that because I think that's the word you've used for a long time. And I think that's,
only,
David, at the end of the day, I think that's a fair assessment.
Thank you. It's only right. It's only fair. Now, does it give me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies? Do I feel as if college sports, big-time college sports now is totally used car salesman in the worst stereotypical way? Yeah, I do. Where there was a charade of it being used car salesman who was on the up and up, okay, who told you when a lemon was a lemon, etc. Okay, and now I think all that pretense is gone. And there's a part of it that's a little icky. Here's why.
Ickier than paper bags giving guys money?
Yes.
Why?
Because there was a simplicity to it. It's quite
so
frank,
if you
Mark,
cheated and could do it without anybody knowing, it was simple and neater to
Mark,
you, then I'm just asking questions
Mark,
here.
And I'm answering. It's very simple. Okay. It was like when the mob was in control. Okay. And the minute we broke up the mob, okay, that's when things got out. There was an orderliness to the corruption in this country when it was mob controlled. All right. That's what college sports was up until 18 months ago. It was mob controlled. Okay. The families took care of it. Now it's out of mob control. The mob is desperately reaching back in to grab what they can and this, that, and the other thing. But now they're having to fight off everybody. Whereas before, everybody knew their turf. Everybody knew the rules. Okay. If you cross the street here, you got whacked. Okay. I mean, everybody knew it. Now it's out of mob control and we're going to have disorder. We just are. Do you like my little Godfather analogy there?
It was cute. It was cute. I don't want to dissect it bit by bit and attack you. I'm just going to let that go.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But again, I find it really and truly what just happened here is mind-blowing to me. Moulton, who would run in the other direction from something illegal.
Yes.
Just got done saying we need it to be more like when the mob ran it.
Right.
And I'm over here who likes to hang out with criminals and thugs saying, no, the legal way, getting all this above board is how it should be done.
Right.
I don't know what the hell just happened the last 2 minutes, David. I really don't.
Because what I'm saying, Mark, is that I would have no problem having been the delivery boy, all right, for the mobster. I never, however, would have joined the mob. Okay. When they finally recruit me and put their arm around me and say, hey, you want to go for a ride with us? We need you to help you. I'd be like, nah, I'm not interested.
Yeah, then you'd be dead on the side of the road.
No. I'm just going to go pick up the groceries and run the errands and bring the clothes back. That's all. I'm good. That's all I'm saying.
Into the oven you go.
Now, here's where, however, I think it's going to work out. I am optimistic about this one area of big-time college football. Since you don't want it to be big-time college athletics, I'll just go big-time college football. We're going to get a much bigger playoff. Here's why I think long term, this is going to help. Right now, there's only the same 3 or 4 schools that can realistically acquire the talent to compete for and win national championships. When we open up the playoff, it is going to allow, along with the money, it is going to allow more schools to eventually become national championship contenders. Right now, we just have a bunch of schools who are contenders to compete for their division or maybe win their conference. But we know they can't go toe-to-toe at the end of the day with the big boys. Give it 7-8 years. Give me till 2028 with an expanded playoff, 7 years of money, and schools that you don't envision who can actually create quite a system of wealth. Remember I asked you a couple of years ago, who's going to be the Clemson of the 2020s?
Right.
And you said
Arizona State was my team.
Yeah. And you laid out your reasons why. And by the way, they were incredible. People have no idea how big that area of the country is. It's the 6th largest market in the country.
One of the biggest universities in the country by terms of enrollment. So the money is not going to be a problem at Arizona State that it would be at a school that may has 20,000 kids.
Over 100,000.
Their online programs, nuts.
Right. I mean, Arizona State could be a power.
I've for the life of me, I've actually never understood why they're not.
And I think we're going to make the system more inviting. We're going to allow more people to come and play poker at the table. And for the first 3 to 5 years, they're going to get destroyed.
Right. It is the first 5 years when poker got really big. The same players were still at the final table. And then everybody else figured out how to play tournaments, if you will.
And that's what I think is going to happen here. It's still going to be Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State in some way, shape, or form for the next 3 to 5 years. But I really think by the end of this decade, everything that has been put into place in the last 18 months, Mark, is going to make this sport more inviting, more possibilities. And then that's when it starts to look more like
the NFL, the most popular league in the world. Gosh, why would college football want to emulate the most popular league in our country? The one that just prints money. I can't think as to why. Your thoughts, text the show. Keyword is FSN Radio to 21,000. FSN Radio to 21,000. Someone did say that this is, the above board is kind of like the Freedom of Information Act, if you will. That now we actually see it. And he's all for it. He would rather see the sausage being made. And that, at the end of the day, it's a silly question, but it is the crux of this whole discussion. Do you want to see how the sausage is made? And David has argued for the better part of this hour that he believes he and others and most people who follow the sport don't.
No, absolutely they don't. No. It was cute before. There was a charm to it before. They were student athletes before. Tough to use that phrase now. I mean, we always thought it was ridiculously hypocritical in the past, but how do you use it now when you are convinced, if not know for a fact, you can put a price tag on every single scholarship player?
No, they're athletes.
Right.
They're college athletes now.
Damn right they are.
Who hopefully will go to a class or two and perhaps at some point get a degree.
That'd be great. Good for them.
Right.
Rah, team.
Exactly. And those ADs that are fired up about being academic All-Americans can work hard on that.
They have a nice banquet too. Go to New York City, get a nice steak, feel good about yourself. That's all. Just take in inventory a little bit on a hump day while we're swimming in the deep end. That is college athletics in 2022.
Seth Everett in 30 minutes right here on Miller and Moulton. You're listening to the Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M, only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Because he apparently had all the college kids. He's young. And he started paying them and had a long, prosperous career as a bookie. And you and I would have also. Yes. All right, let me see if I can play this here. This could be too good.
Asked, right? If he says you got to dance, you're going to dance. Why wouldn't you dance? And listen, whether it was dancing or I couldn't get my accent down with family. Listen, I'm from Boston. We don't have strong accents. And by the way, you cannot get on me about my accent because you got one too.
Was the joke that he said that Bostonians don't have accents?
Yes, leave this up. I may play this.
All right. Because Boston definitely does.
Right, maybe the thickest accent in the country.
See, that's just like false. Bostonians don't have accents like they clearly do. Well, really, everyone has an accent. Hell, even you have an accent, Mark.
Yeah, I do. It's Midwestern.
Yeah.
Ray LeBlanc.
Yep, the Razor. I knew he'd have it.
And Buckley owned him, right?
Owned him. Played in the show if he'd have played every game against Razor.
Was the Razor at Indianapolis?
Yes. Yeah, and then at the end of his career was in Jacksonville. He was a good dude. He was probably still is. So
Oh, no, Desval. It will not get a good rating. No. Nope. Did you see the ratings for the semis?
That'd be terrible.
Down 3 million per game from last year.
Well, I wonder why.
Wow.
Can't play him on New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve is a big deal to a lot of people and a lot of women, but a lot of people, period. That's their night to go out. It's called amateur night for a reason.
People plan it.
I mean, it's the New Year's Six Bowls, though.
Right.
It's tradition.
No, actually. Do you know what bowl game used to get played on New Year's Eve?
What?
The Astro Blue Bonnet Bowl.
And then the Peach for the longest time. And the Peach
Yes.
gave us great
Yes.
New Year's Eve games.
Yes, back in the day, it was the Astro Blue Bonnet Bowl, and then pretty much from the
this
90s
century,
to the 2000s, the Peach Bowl was the New Year's Eve night game.
And the Peach Bowl was so good, had so many good games. I really think it's why they jumped up and paid the money to get in the New Year's Six.
By the way, the beginning and the end of the Canes occurred at the Peach Bowl.
Iowa when they got blown out?
LSU.
LSU.
Yeah.
LSU kicked the crap physically on and off the field, too. They got into a fight, the Canes did, before the game.
So you're saying play the semifinals on
I can play, by the way, David, I've got this.
On New Year's Day.
David,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
really quickly.
Asked, right? If he says you got to dance, you're going to dance. Why wouldn't you dance? And listen, whether it was dancing or I couldn't get my accent down with family. Listen, I'm from Boston. We don't have strong accents. And by the way, you cannot get...
We don't have strong accents.
It's one of the top 10 line right there.
It's funny.
5 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Into the 8 o'clock hour of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network, Seth Everett to join us coming up in a little more than 30 minutes time. You can text the show by sending FSN Radio, all one word, to 21,000. If you've already done that, then you know that. And you can text us whenever about whatever you want. Feel free to watch us, join us, follow us, subscribe to us. In the Twitch chat room, it's the Miller and Moulton channel on twitch.tv.
So we've been talking a lot of college football today and the NIL and the transfer portal and
Right.
the messiness of it.
And are people okay with it?
And one of the things that made it apparent that this is just a bid, get the guy business is when the Notre Dame head coach left to go to LSU
Right, Brian Kelly.
by choice.
Yes.
That should have let everybody know the money involved here.
Right,
I'm leaving Notre Dame for a better job.
right. More money. Okay, and we can say this because we're part of the clan. More money than the Catholics.
The SEC may have more money than the Catholics.
Right,
Think about that for a second.
right. Especially for those of you that are Catholic. Let that sink in. Hello.
Such a good line.
It's true, though.
It really is.
Wait a minute. I mean, it's like, could you imagine the word gets all the way to the Vatican? Wait a minute. We were outbid
We were outbid.
for a parcel of land.
Have
We
you-
were outbid.
Have you not seen the paintings in this place?
Wait, we were outbid.
We're Catholic.
We need a new bidder.
So last night, LSU was getting pounded on ESPN during their bowl game against Kansas State. They didn't have any players. Everybody transferred out. They didn't have a quarterback.
Right.
They ran the Wildcat for the game.
Right. They didn't want to burn a quarterback's an entire year of eligibility by playing them in the Texas Bowl, and I don't blame them. So they got whacked by K-State 42-20. They did throw a beautiful double reverse touchdown pass on the final play of the game from like 70 yards out. It was pretty. As the winning coach is getting the Gatorade bucket dumped on him at Kansas State, LSU's throwing a 70-yard touchdown pass.
But during the second quarter, Brian Kelly was up in the booth and delivered yet another outstanding line. If you recall, he did a couple of dance moves on social media that were ripped. And then when he spoke to the crowd at the basketball game, he adopted a Southern accent.
Right.
That was bad.
And it came and went kind of like Pacino's Cuban accent.
Correct. Correct. It changed.
Right.
So last night when asked about it, here is Brian Kelly trying to win us over with what is one of the all-time great answers.
Asked, right? If he says you got to dance, you're going to dance. Why wouldn't you dance? And Listen, whether it was dancing or I couldn't get my accent down with family. Listen, I'm from Boston. We don't have strong accents. And by the way, you cannot.
Wait a minute. Did everybody just get that? We're from Boston. We don't have strong accents.
There you go.
That's funny.
Testing out his dinner material.
That right there is funny.
Gonna have to win, but good start. Good start, BK there.
But that does, Brian Kelly is right. I mean, that is what our discussion is today. He left Notre Dame to go to LSU.
Right. Under contract, by the way, at Notre Dame. I mean, there's no other line of work where you can just get up and leave.
Trust us. We can't in this business.
Right.
We've tried.
Yes, we have. We've asked politely. We've threatened legal action. We've had legal action threatened against us. In this line of work, a contract is very much a contract. In your line of work, if it's not, please let us know.
It is amazing because, as you said, coaches in the NFL, they leave, they're compensated. The team is compensated. It's a draft pick. It's something. And yet, in college football, there is no compensation.
No, they willingly they have convinced themselves if we hold a coach to their contract, we will never get another quality coach. And so once they convince themselves of that, however far back this happened, Mark, some agent and some coach looked an AD right in the eye and said, if you don't let me go, I will tear this program down. I will blow it up, and you will never get another quality coach again.
But at least a little bit to that point, look at the last couple of years at Florida State and what Jimbo, when he quit on the Noles, did to that program long-term.
Right.
That's the reason.
It really hurt them.
They still haven't recovered.
Not at all. Now, they should have been able to recover by now. They screwed it up. They did screw the recovery up. I think the current guy is getting it right, but the hole was just significantly bigger than the one that Jimbo left him. And Jimbo left him a pretty big hole.
Well, FSU also didn't pay him. So they kind of created the hole.
He was under contract.
Yeah, but I thought one of the reasons why he wanted to leave was because he wanted to get paid more, and they
they all want to get paid
Of
more.
course, they all want more
They
money.
all want to get paid more.
They
I mean,
also-
Brian Kelly doubled his salary going from Notre Dame to LSU. He was making $5 million a year.
Right.
It's not like he wasn't getting paid.
There
It's
wasn't
not like Jimbo there wasn't two commas there.
there wasn't a lot that Jimbo was not getting at Tallahassee. They just said to him, we don't print money like some of the other schools, and you probably deserve more money than what we're paying you. But this is all we have. Okay, we're building you the football facility that you wanted, separate from everything else. But we're limited in our funds. The ACC had not renegotiated their deal with the four-letter network yet. And Florida State's fundraising, quite frankly, was not up to snuff as far as Jimbo was concerned. But he was under contract. They did make him coach in waiting to replace Bobby Bowden. I mean, it's tough to argue Florida State let Jimbo down.
And he didn't let them down. He brought him a natty, but then
Right.
after that, he quit on them.
He did. He took his coaches off the road the final 2 months that he was at Florida State. He helped bury them.
And that's the point, however. Jimbo Fisher is the case study of why you have to let them leave.
Yeah. He said, okay, I'll stop coaching.
And more importantly, I'll stop recruiting.
Yep. And I just won't tell anybody. But I thought you got an interesting text. I mean, we got an interesting text. You just happen to have the text line in front of you.
Someone says that the NIL money is not more like the NFL because there's not revenue sharing and a cap. Interesting point. There is revenue sharing.
Right.
The conference is all revenue share.
Correct.
But there's not a cap. To his point, Texas, with their NIL deal, they're paying all the linemen like $50,000.
Yep.
There's no cap. Texas wants to spend $18 million on their team. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it is a dadgum good point.
I mean, they still lost to Kansas.
I got you.
Right. But they're hoping never to do so again. But there is revenue sharing, although, and you and I have said, see, this to me, quick sidebar, this to me is the Armageddon of college athletics. When do the Alabamas and Ohio States of the world go, I'm not sharing revenue evenly with Mississippi State and Purdue? Why should I have to? And if you don't think that day will come, then I think you're the naive one. And I can be pretty naive at times. But if you don't think at some point, and it might not be till the 2030s or even the 2040s, but there are haves and have-nots in this world. And in any occupation, there comes a day when the haves decide, you know what? I'm not sharing as much with the have-nots anymore. I don't care how we've always done it.
You and I, David, have sat and done this now for a dozen years. And we have wondered for nearly that long, when do college football teams break off on their own? And plenty of other people have written articles about this very thing. And it's not just going to be Alabama and Ohio State and Georgia that leave. It'll be 4 dozen schools. But just use that 4 dozen number. Use 48, 50 schools, whatever you want to do. And take the Power 5 conferences. Well, there are more teams than what I just listed.
About 20 more.
Yep. There are teams that would get left.
Totally.
Vanderbilt. I mean, at some point, when is the SEC going to still prop up Vanderbilt?
I mean, think about if Ohio State gave the Big Ten an ultimatum. For you Big Ten fans
Pulled to
out
Texas.
there. Yeah, they pulled to Texas. And what did Texas ultimately get from the Big 12? Who they ultimately left. But what did they get for 20 years? They got to be able to keep more of their own revenue.
The majority of their revenue.
Right.
When that Longhorn Network, which was a colossal failure for everybody but the University of Texas.
Bingo.
Because they were making 8 figures a year, if not 9.
Well, they were making 8 figures a year just from the Longhorn Network.
Just from the Longhorn Network.
The first number was crooked. And that's money that went straight to the University of Texas and no one else. And that is why the University of Texas has generated more revenue for their athletic department than any school in the country for 15 consecutive years.
There's no one close. Buckeyes are in the area code, but they're not close.
I mean, Jerry Jones did it to the NFL. Jerry Jones was the one that said, hold on a second.
Pepsi, everybody.
Why is it that I have to share everything with Ralph Wilson in Buffalo and Mike Brown in Cincinnati? Their franchises aren't worth 20 cents of what my franchise is worth. They're not doing anything to generate more revenue. I put every dime I had into buying this damn team. I need to generate every dime I can to stay afloat. I need a new stadium, which I'm going to have to help build myself. And I got to give my money to Ralph Wilson? No. We can share the TV money. But no, the suites and the sponsorship, no. That's got to stay in-house. And you want to talk about a war behind the scenes that lasted about 5 years. That was a war. And Gerald won. And at some point, you and I think that there's going to be an AD somewhere at the Dallas Cowboys of college football, whether it's Ohio State, Alabama, wherever the place may be. But they're going to look at the rest of their conference one day and go, yeah, I don't think so. This system ain't working for us anymore.
I've warned David, when we come back, I'm taking the show off the rails. This story is too good for an ugly. It left David's mouth agape when I read him the headline. You will get the details on the other side. Miller and Moulton, Seth Everett in 20 minutes, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Maybe, I don't even know if I'd take Baylor. I might, because they got great facilities now, and they got
Right,
it
but it's
going
Waco
on.
or Orlando.
Right.
I mean, I would take UCF first.
Yes,
I
I
would
would take
take-
Houston.
I would take Houston second,
I would go Houston,
and then it would be some sort of Cincinnati Baylor.
yes.
And I think Oklahoma State might make my 50. Might.
Yeah, I think I could leave the rest of the conference.
Oh, I know I could leave the rest of the
I
conference.
could have take
Now,
4 and leave the
If
rest.
Kansas gets their shit together with the portal because of basketball, but see, they're not. It would be just football. They wouldn't take basketball. They wouldn't be able to. The NCAA still has it, right?
Yes.
I want to know who put this story out there. I don't think it was Harbaugh's agent.
No, I don't think so either. I'm proud of myself. Hops said you guys should do this professionally. And I wrote back, one day, Hops, we hope to.
One day.
I don't know. Sometimes you just have to amuse yourself.
Oh crap! I got to send Seth his stuff.
Well, he's not next, though, so he can chill out.
Watch this.
Happy New Year. Now that's funny. Okay. And he'll know it. Should have waited. Probably should have done it on air. Okay.
Har har.
I
I
got
got
him
a
to-
har har
Yep,
from him.
gotten him to freak out.
Oh my God, that's funny.
First off, if you're Jacksonville, Jim Harbaugh, we should have brought that up.
So that guy that does that Naples All-Star events, he does like a Saturday show on the other station. He bought time on the Fox station or this station, one or the other. He does a show on Saturdays.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Naples All-Star
Well,
events.
John's got a relationship with him.
I think it's on John's station on Saturdays.
Right.
Kind of like where, John Linder used to do that
Right.
thing, I don't know if I think he's buying the time himself because all the advertisers are his.
Good for him. Tannenbaum's lost weight. Looks good. My mother's good friend that she lives with, who I call Aunt Kathy, he had a property in Jersey for the longest time, and she helped get rid of it, as she's a real estate person, and she used to always send me pictures of all the jet stuff that was in and what have you.
I don't think the Bears are his dream job, Hops, but I just think he's going like, I don't know. I'm curious. I'm here, curious of where the angle is on this one.
I could see Harbaugh on the Bears. That'd be cool.
I like him at Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, he did.
I like him. I love him at Michigan.
I do too.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 20 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, Seth Everett in 15 minutes or thereabouts. Baker Mayfield, done for the year, is going to have that torn labrum in his left shoulder taken care of probably this week. Fairly long recovery as recoveries go, 4 or 5 months type deal, but whether it's OTAs, but certainly ready by training camp when he will enter the final year of his rookie deal. There were reports emerging late yesterday that 58-year-old Jim Harbaugh might be interested in a return to the National Football League. And he was linked with the Raiders and the Bears. And Miller and Moulton say, well, hold on a second. Stephen Ross, big Michigan guy, tried to hire him 10 years ago when he went to the Niners. I think Stephen Ross might be in play. And for that matter, if you're Mr. Khan, Harbaugh's winning percentage is only .694 in the NFL.
I know. I just wonder if they'd go back to, and I know he coached in the NFL.
Yes, successfully.
I know.
3 playoff appearances, 4 seasons, none of them a losing one.
He ain't working with Bulky.
Well, no. It's another reason for the fan base to get dressed up as a clown.
No doubt. There's no doubt. All right, David. When I read you this headline, I think I punched you right in the nose with this headline.
Did take my breath away.
Stephanie Matto is a UK, I guess, a star from the show 90 Day Fiancé. She was making 38,000 pounds a week.
Pounds?
Pounds. Selling farts in a jar. I didn't stutter. I didn't make that up. She had 260,000 followers on Instagram as her customer base, and she was selling them.
You do know this is today's sign of the demise of Western civilization.
Apparently, she was selling them for $1,000 a jar.
Oh,
700.
come on.
I'm not joking. At one point, the demand was so high for her gas that she would produce 50 jars of farts a week. Apparently, though, she tried to squeeze out one too many.
Oh, I can't believe you just went there.
She told Jam Press, I thought I was having a stroke, and these were my final moments. I was overdoing it. The 31-year-old recalled how she consumed 3 protein shakes and a huge bowl of black bean soup in one day before feeling that something was not right.
3 protein shakes and a big bowl of black bean soup.
That's correct.
That's an explosion for your stomach, by the way.
Stephanie's from Connecticut.
Don't know what that has
I just
to do.
letting you know. Well,
they're not taking credit for her, you know.
But she is now retired from selling farts in a jar.
Hell, it was great while it lasted. This is
You know what that means? That her career will have to have a second win, David.
Oh. See what you did there. That story is really disturbing.
You think?
Here's what really concerns me.
People bought them.
Well, that's besides the point. Never underestimate the stupidity of the public. But that's not the bad. See, for those of you that don't listen to our bonus hour, we end the show with 3 segments combined into one, and one of them is called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And to think that that didn't make The Good, the Bad, or the Ugly has me terrified as to what is in The Good, Bad, and Ugly today.
I don't even know what's in it. This was the ugly, but there was no way when you leave me with 2 minutes at the end of the show that I could properly get this story out.
I would have left you more time, I promise.
I mean, you're going to tell me about some, guy that pitched a no-hitter in 1938 or something. I've got a woman who sells farts in a jar.
Mark, don't make fun of today was the day that Bonnie met Clyde, okay? Don't you dare make fun of that. 1930, by the way.
Well, there you have it. So I like I said, this would have been the ugly. It would win as the ugly. But there was no way I was going to have enough time to get to all of this.
You and I have both done sales, and you're much better at it than I was. Part of the reason why I was not good is that I've never had a lot of money. And so to me, charging a certain amount, and also you think, and I'm not saying this disparagingly, I'm saying it actually very seriously. You put a higher value on us than I did. Okay, that when we went out and sold us on the street, you had no problem looking someone in the eye and charging blank for a sponsorship.
Right.
I would be like, ooh, man, I don't know. That's a lot of money. I mean, we do an okay show and all that, but I don't know if I could charge them that. And you had no problem. No. This is what we're worth at this, and then they're going to pay it, and I'm going to get this. We can get 3 sponsors and a whole deal. And so the part of that story, and there were many disturbing parts of it, but the most disturbing part for me is the utter audacity to charge what she was charging.
$1,000
What?
for a pretty woman to fart in a jar. I have so many questions. How long would the fart in the jar last?
Oh, please don't do this. No.
Would it depend on what she had to eat?
Oh, people are driving to work. They got kids in the car. They're going to school. Not only that, there's probably a kid in the back seat hearing this and is probably going to try it.
I hope so.
No.
Hope he sells it to his teacher.
Oh.
A lot different than cupping one. I mean, putting it right in a jar for you.
Goodness sakes.
Boy,
Man.
Don't you wish you had phone numbers right now?
No. You know what? And normally I do. Normally there's not a segment in the world that I don't think wouldn't be better by being able to throw out a phone number and take calls. This one would terrify me. I'd be in the fetal position in the corner while you took calls. I would be like, please tell me when this ends. Wow. I love the fact that you threw in she's from Connecticut. I don't know what that has to do with the story.
Well, I thought she was from the UK. The story was from the UK, but she was from Connecticut.
Oh, gotcha.
That's
okay.
That's all.
Really part of reality television. Imagine that.
Mm-hmm. 90 Day Fiance.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. There's all sorts, 600-pound sister, 1,000-pound sister. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my wife's a therapist. Oh, no. She'll check out 3 minutes of all these shows. Oh, yeah, because they fascinate her.
Must be a good breakdown. It's probably like you breaking down
a
relief pitcher.
This is the draft. I mean, reality television to my wife is like the draft for me, because every single person in a reality TV show is a potential client to my wife. I mean, every single one. So that's like the draft for me. There have been some of these shows on television, and I have turned to her, sarcastic as you know what, and said, so what's that, about a 3rd, 4th round pick right there? Okay. 600-pound sister. okay, has a terrible relationship with her mom and her sister, because that seems like that's a first-round pick to me. I mean, for you, don't you think? I mean, that's a top prospect right there. I mean, that's 2-3 years of work minimum.
But people will buy anything, David. That's what has been proven
Wow.
once again.
Wow.
I don't know what round we would draft him in. It would be high.
Yes. He's a day 2 pick.
He's like the first pick of the second round.
Yes.
He's like a Drew Brees.
He is. He's somebody that you would take offers on overnight. You know, he's still on the board, and people would call and go, ooh, what would it cost to get me a Seth Everett? Well, what are you offering?
We'll have one on the other side. Miller and Moulton and our friend Seth Everett when we come back right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Is that a Seahawks Golden Tate jersey?
No, it is not. It is. Let me do this. I have to take my headphones off.
Oh, just turn around.
Number 81, Gerald Everett.
Ah.
I hadn't done an Everett jersey in a long time. I do have a Carl Everett jersey. I have an Adam Everett jersey. This is a Gerald Everett.
Hold on. Carl Everett. Which team?
White Sox.
Interesting.
And when I introduced him, when I had that jersey, we both wore the jersey, and I said, welcome in Carl Everett, no relation.
Hope somebody appreciated that. Hope Carl appreciated that.
I think he did.
How deep is your jersey collection, Seth?
It's not super, super deep. When I worked for MLB, though, when we started transitioning into video, they would give us like the samples of a bunch of jerseys. So I have a good handful of jerseys, but not like significant ones. My favorite jersey, I have a Chunichi Dragons jersey from Kosuke Fukudome.
Wow.
From 2002. I have I have some cool jerseys, but not like a massive. I have a Jose Fernandez jersey. I have a John Marzano jersey from his memorial service, like stuff like that.
What's your favorite basketball jersey that you have, if you have any?
I only have one basketball. I have two cool basketball things. I have a Seattle Supersonics warm-up jacket.
Wow.
And I have an Antonio McDyess signed 1997 Nuggets jersey.
Nice.
Antonio McDyess. That's quality right
That
there.
was my guy. Yeah, he was my guy. Him and LaFonso Ellis.
There you go. They were some fun teams.
They were not very successful.
No, but I said
very
they were
nice
some
people.
fun teams.
Yeah.
Is that a Steve Largent jersey?
No, it was 80.
Oh.
No, he turned around. Apparently, Gerald Everett was the Seattle Seahawk.
Okay.
So Seth is wearing an Everett jersey.
I like it. That's works out really well for the wife and daughter with the Heath Miller being Steelers fans.
Yes.
You can rock that 85 Miller at Pittsburgh games for a lifetime, and they're fine with it.
And when this guy leaves the Seahawks, it'll be a Seth Everett jersey.
Yep. I was actually ticked off that I didn't go buy every size of Heath Miller jersey when he retired for my daughter, because you can't find them anymore. Get her up to about 12,
eBay.
13, then I don't care.
Yeah, I hadn't done an Everett jersey in a while. I saw it. I saw the guy caught a touchdown pass. I said, you know what? This could be fun. Because I like the Seahawks.
How's your daughter?
She's okay. She's she's on the mend.
Okay, good.
She was out of it for about 3 days.
I'm
Not
sorry,
like
what happened?
COVID.
Oh, okay. She's all right though. Everything good?
Yeah, she's okay. She was never like not hospital, but it was she was sick. She was they did virtual school in our town, and she didn't do it one day because she couldn't get out of bed. But she's okay. She's doing it now.
How old's your daughter?
13.
Okay.
And my little one is 10. And we all tested negative.
Good.
Yeah, I rode in a cart with a guy, or not played a foursome with a guy, get a text after the round, COVID, went and took the test, negative.
Negative. Yep.
It,
Well, we think that it's because my wife and I just kind of got our boosters, and my little one just got vaccinated, and my big one, the one who tested positive, she got her vaccine back in June, and hasn't qualified for the booster yet. So she hasn't had anything in a while. So we think we were all exposed, and it just got her.
possibly.
15
Possible.
seconds.
All right, here we go, kids.
Kids.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
As we approach 23 minutes before the hour, our final segment for those of you nice enough to listen to the Tampa St. Pete market to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Your final segment on this hump day is our buddy Seth Everett. He of the three great podcasts, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and TechStream. You can follow Seth on Twitter at Seth_Everett. That's Seth_Everett. Seth, Happy New Year, buddy.
Oh, God.
How
long you been waiting that?
The backstory, though, why it is you reacted that way, and that's why we did it.
Well, there's no backstory. It was I tweeted yesterday. I thought was the end. Enough with the Happy New Year. People saying it into the middle of February, and I thought let's just cut the head of the snake off right at the top. And I said that's it. 5 a.m. yesterday. I said my last Happy New Year. I'm done.
And because of you, and that was our poll question yesterday of when can
Wow.
you officially quit saying it?
Yep.
I plan on saying it throughout the whole month to every guest we have on the show. Just for you, Seth.
Even repeat guests?
Oh, you'll get it every week.
No.
Nah, maybe.
But that's just to aggravate you because, we like you so much. Hey, DC in our Twitch chat room wants to know, guys, you're going to ask Seth if MLB has called him to come and replace Ken Rosenthal?
Ken Rosenthal, who was fired for basically being
Just
critical
being a
of the
journalist.
commissioner,
Right.
who Seth has, what do you refer to Rob Manfred as?
Well, he's a criminal.
Right.
So I think that's a no.
So needless to say, when they were going through their Rolodex as to who was going to replace Ken Rosenthal, Seth not high on the Rolodex.
Well, since you want to ask me my first reaction to it when I found out, and I know Ken and I consider Ken a good friend, I didn't even know he was on MLB Network. I haven't seen MLB Network in at least 10 years, especially since I cut the cord and I can't get it. And there's if a tree falls and no one's there to hear it, how do you know they made a sound? This is just typical baseball's reaction. What I can tell you is when I worked for the league for 8 years, there were specific rules. You could not rip Bud. You couldn't, and Bud had, a lot of things. This was during the steroid era. Bud was coming under fire, and what we couldn't say is, Bud Selig's a doofus. Like you couldn't say that.
What could you say though? No, I mean, how critical
Could you be critical of steroids?
I could. Oh, I was critical of him. I criticized his handling of the tie. I said specifically, I don't blame him for the tie of the All-Star game. What he needed to do was have the wherewithal, or somebody needed to tell him to go into the tunnel, because he sat there just shrugging his shoulders, and he looked like he had no idea what he was doing. I don't think he did not know what he was doing. I think he's a really smart guy, and I liked him overall. But I could criticize him. You just have to figure out the tone. What we couldn't do is I couldn't say, the Orioles will never win as long as Angelos is running the show. Couldn't say that. What you could say is, the Orioles management is not currently constituted for a winning organization. It was just a fine line of what you could say and what you could do, and it was known. But the difference is, when I worked for Major League Baseball, any outlet that I was on, so for example, when I worked for MLB, I also worked for SNY and Fox Sports Radio. In those situations, I applied the MLB policy to all of my jobs. And in Ken Rosenthal's case, the Athletic won't accept that. And MLB knew it. In the Athletic situation, what they want is the most hard-hitting journalism, because that's their slogan. That's what they're marketing. And don't forget, the Athletic is for sale. And so in this situation, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get Ken Rosenthal to write as salacious stuff that they can. It's literally robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so not having Ken Rosenthal on MLB Network, I don't even think is a dent in his salary, because between Fox Sports and the Athletic, that's where he makes his money.
Right.
And what this turned out to be was just a bad PR move. And to tell you the truth, what I tweeted was, if you thought what the column that Ken Rosenthal wrote was defamatory, listen to the Eddie Dominguez episodes of Sports with Friends, where he literally accuses Manfred of overseeing human trafficking and documents it.
That seems a little more off the top rope than anything Ken Rosenthal has ever even thought of saying, never mind saying or writing.
Yeah, I mean, accusing a commissioner of human trafficking would be a little higher than saying the game's in a bad place, essentially.
Right. He could have handled the 2020 stoppage a little better than he did, is basically what Rosenthal said. And he was all but kicked off the network over the last year and a half for it, and didn't have his contract renewed. When you have players, by the way, taking the social media to call out Major League Baseball for a member of the media, do you know what regard players hold the media in?
Just above that of the person picking garbage out of the stalls, if you will. Yes.
And
very poorly.
Players went to Twitter to say to Major League Baseball, "Are you guys serious?"
Are you kidding me? Yeah, are you kidding me?
Seth, one of the things you'd been harping on is you're big into the streaming. You just mentioned it. You don't watch MLB because you can't get it.
Can't get it.
I'm starting to see, whether it's our producer, whether it's my kid you cut the cord. Seth, you were ahead of this one. Not being able to watch the local team in your market.
Yeah. Because
you can't stream them, I think's the biggest problem sports has going forward from a sports media rights standpoint, Seth.
Yeah, we did an episode of Sports with Friends a couple of weeks ago with Adam White from Front Office Sports about this. I've done a lot of research on this. It looks like the RSNs are under siege. I don't think they're going to be folding by any time soon, but I think their exclusivity windows are going to be overruled in specific sports, probably baseball, because baseball is going to need the PR. And the irony is, for a sport that caters towards old men, you're going to have the best streaming access is going to be for Major League Baseball. That to me is just ironic. The argument for a lot of this, the NFL Network just made a deal with Hulu this year, brought the Red Zone to Hulu, and it's enlightened the way I watch football. I've become a better football watcher because of something like that. Why the NHL Network or NBA TV? I don't want to sound like I'm just picking on baseball. why these networks don't have widespread distribution. What are they protecting? What is the content on these networks that is so precious that people are saying, well, wait a minute, you have to subscribe to this stuff? If you put a gun to my head, I could not tell you one show that they do. I know Harold Reynolds works there because he's a friend of mine, but other than that, I don't know.
Is it the content they're protecting, or is it the value of the network? And in particular, like these regional cable channels that many of us have watched our Major League Baseball team and or, like here,
Hockey and
basketball and hockey.
Sure.
And, they're they
Well-
have pumped a lot of money into these sports, and they have contracts that say exclusivity. How are these sports going to get out of these contracts?
Well, you're asking two separate questions. First of all, the MLB network, just as an entity, if you pay, what is it, $119 for MLB.TV, you should get MLB Network in your goddamn app. That's incredible. Like, it's literally, it's fluff. And it's promo fluff, and you're hiding it. It makes no difference. Now, as far as the RSNs, what I do believe they're going to do right now, there is a clause in all of the RSN contracts that an ad that is sold is only for linear television, so that for the streaming rights, there has to be a separate ad revenue.
Right.
What I think is that's going to get combined. And I think that, for example, if the Yes Network has a Budweiser client, and in the sixth inning of every Yankee game, they run a Budweiser ad, you'll see that on a streaming service. And that's where I think there needs to be some kind of compromise. And I don't think what that does is that doesn't bankrupt the RSNs. As a matter of fact, I think the RSNs will have better incentive because you'll get to more eyeballs.
I think you're right on with that, Seth. The one thing I do know, when streaming became really popular in our medium in radio, and I know exactly what you're talking about, the separate streams, we couldn't run commercials when we actually worked in this building full time. I remember when it was all coming about, the voiceover talents, the people who get money for doing commercials are like, no. That's money for that region. You start putting it on the web, then you've got to pay me more. So that's another hurdle. And I don't mean to get too far behind the curtain here, but that's another hurdle they'll have to go through, whether it's ASCAP, BMI, how that all works with people who get paid for their voice work. That's another element of this. And it seems to have been a hindrance, Seth, as to why this hasn't happened sooner.
Well, and the other interesting thing that's come out of CES so far, the Consumer Electronics Show, which is going to be kind of hybrid, is the DirecTV is going to make a somewhat play. They're going to lose their exclusivity, but they're going to retain some aspect of Sunday Ticket because there's some kind of association. It's a sports bar owner union. I don't know what the group is, but there's a big complaint because fantasy and gamblers do not like the 2 to 3 second lag that streaming has. I don't mind it. When I watched the Devils lose to the Bruins last night, I didn't know that it was 3 seconds later than it actually happened. That didn't impact me, but I'm not a gambler.
That's a great point with live betting, though, Seth.
Right. So what could change is that a Disney, an Apple, an Amazon could get access to the Sunday Ticket and the Red Zone, but DirecTV would retain it so that there would be some kind of a corporate model where you could still buy it. I still think, 2 million people would depart DirecTV, and that will flip the pendulum of people. Once the Sunday Ticket is available elsewhere, people will leave DirecTV. And but the fact that DirecTV is not over is a big discovery from CES this week.
He's Seth Everett. Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and TechStream are his 3 podcasts. You can follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett, Seth_Everett. Seth, you've had a lot of jobs in a lot of cities. Have you ever had another instance in which basically you didn't have full editorial control over your content? Like, there have been a couple instances in my career in which I was just flat out tapped on the shoulder and said, no, that ain't going to fly. And one time I was taken off the air because of it.
Well, the Mitchell Report. I knew who was on the original Mitchell Report. There was another list, and about 30 names were taken off the Mitchell Report because of insufficient evidence. That they said in the court of public opinion that wouldn't be enough, to really make that stick. And when I had got my hands on the rough draft, I was immediately called and said, "You are never going on the air with that. Like, never. That won't happen." And that's fair. What the other example was a fight I had with the Mets. When I was working for the Mets, my contract was allowing me to be on Fox Sports Radio, and Jeff Wilpon had been accused of harassment. He fired a woman because she was pregnant out of wedlock, and he fired this lady. And I knew I was going to be asked about it. The Mets said, by no uncertain terms, you are going to address it. And I said, well, there's nothing I can do. My contract is Fox asks the questions. Just like when I come on your show, I don't pick the questions. I can't control that. And I gave a very politically correct answer, and that wasn't good enough for the Mets. They were very upset that I even addressed it on Fox.
Seth, what you got coming up on the podcast?
Well, the podcast, Sports with Friends, we had the passing of John Madden. We talked about it last week. That great documentary on Fox. The executive producer of the documentary is Tom Rinaldi. And Tom tells amazing behind-the-scenes stories of John Madden's reaction to the documentary. Shout out to the great David Moulton producer credit. But Tom Rinaldi is fascinating on Sports with Friends. Hall of Justice, there's a new show, Superman and Lois. It's about to start season 2. Kyle Cushing is one of the characters. He's married to Lana Lang, and Eric Valdez is going to be our guest. He is an actor. And Tech Stream, we talked about CES and everything that's going on in CES and the change from the in-person model to the hybrid model, and how they're using holograms now to do presentations at CES. So people are 300 miles away in the comfort of their homes, and they're making, big presentations at CES. It's a very, very weird, it looks like George Orwell, 1984.
I don't know how I'd react to that. Because, they're musical. What was the...
Well, Tupac was a hologram, I believe. The Dio thing that we had in Fort Myers, Naples was my favorite.
A year ago,
the
right?
Dio hologram at Barbara B. Mann. That's my all-time favorite.
I don't know how I'd react to that, to be honest with you. And my imagination is, I'm willing to... I mean, come on. I'm a Mets fan. I mean, I've got a vivid imagination, okay? But I don't know. There are certain areas I don't think I could go.
Yeah, CES it's a weird thing because there's still a lot of people there, but like more than 50% didn't go, and so it's kind of weird. I don't like doing this half thing. Either postpone it or have it, but don't do half.
Fair enough.
Agreed.
Seth, as always, thanks for your time. All the best to your family. Hope they're healthy, and we'll talk again next week.
Yes, go Gerald Everett.
Seth wearing his Everett Seattle Seahawks jersey. It is not a Seth Everett jersey. It is a Gerald Everett jersey. Seth, who's like Felipe there, he's always wearing a sports-themed T-shirt or jersey when he makes an appearance. It's another reason to catch our show on Twitch.
We might need Philly Cam for that at some point, but Seth, the one good thing about Seth is that every item that he wears is a team he worked for, something he had. There's a story behind it, where Felipe as a young guy is just going out and buying as much memorabilia as he can. The stories will come hopefully for him later.
But he's young enough,
right?
Get away with it. He fits the criteria.
No, 100%.
You're under 25. You can wear jerseys, no explanations needed. Seth needs viable explanations.
I'll have the best explanation or the best gifts for my kids.
Wow.
He's already planning a family.
Wow.
The hand-me-downs.
Pretty amazing.
Good for you.
Good. We'll need to talk to
That's
him.
3 seconds we'll never get back.
Right.
Oh, God.
Miller and Moulton. For those of you in Tampa, St. Pete, thanks for taking us in this morning. We're very appreciative of it. And you can check out our bonus hour. It's live on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, where Seth usually stays with us for a little while after his weekly appearance. For those of you in Fort Myers, Naples, well, the bonus hour is coming up.
Almost through a hump day, David. 1 hour left. Miller and Moulton, thank you so much for listening. We'll be right back right here on the Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3
You guys
days.
can't hear me, right?
Weekend is highlighted by the
Mike's not
NTT IndyCar Series
No,
race,
it's not.
taking the green
Seth's
flag
on?
on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone
Seth's
Grand
mic's
Prix
not
of
on.
St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February
Talk,
25th
Seth.
to the 27th. Get your
You
tickets
guys
at
there?
gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big
The
mouth.
funny thing about
subs
Rosenthal
and indulge in
is
their
the Twitter,
overstuffed subs with
people,
freshest
the
quality
outpouring of
ingredients.
support
Enjoy
from all
our
the other
famous steak
baseball
bomb with
hacks that are
perfectly
nervous
grilled
about their
marinating
job.
sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions,
Well, we didn't
peppers,
get into
mushrooms,
that.
crispy bacon, juicy
It
tomatoes,
was
and creamy mayo.
like an outpouring.
Made to order
John
crispy fries,
Heyman and
prepared with
Tom
gator,
Verducci
Cuban,
and
chicken bomb or the
Rossi,
Italian. Love local.
probably, or
yeah, all of them.
John Smith.
Although the ones that work for
John Smith
MLB Network didn't
location
say
near
anything.
you today.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's
Hold on a
only
second.
getting
I
better.
literally
at
couldn't
DraftKings,
tell you
the
one
official
list on
daily
MLB
fantasy
Network.
partner of the
Go ahead.
NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks
I'll
up
see you
against
guys.
the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. It's on the road.
Oh wow.
So you
Well,
get
you get Joe Burrow.
fuck that. It's a big, I mean, you'll get
I know.
something,
I know.
but it's,
I know.
and then you get you do get Green Bay and you get, oh wow. Okay, I take that back. You now get Green Bay, the Rams, and Kansas City at home.
Oh.
Holy shit.
Looks like you're buying tickets.
Oh, I was buying them anyhow. Cowboys on the road. So you'll be doing that one.
We could do this, by the way, coming out.
I did not necessarily get this commercial. Sometimes these Geicos slip by me because I'm not. This commercial cracks me up. The robot one.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the coffee thing. Rob Ott. I don't know why. It makes me smile. Well, what do you mean? Who's going to play in it? Monday night? Well, the worst game will be the Saturday. What's ESPN get? Saturday early or Saturday late?
Early.
Saturday early will be the worst game from a rating standpoint. You think you'll do the Cowboys no matter what?
No, it'll be either Cowboys or Bucks.
David has a preference for playoff weekend. Tampa.
I would like to drive to the game. Also, it would allow me to do an FGCU doubleheader the day before. And then drive up.
Who does them? If TJ doesn't do them, still that kid in Porch. Do they have a third still?
The Miracle, the Mighty Muscles voice there is the third.
When am I going to start doing softball games?
When they start doing them.
They going to be good this year? Do you know?
I mean, they're always pretty good, but are they
Right.
good enough?
Yeah, that's what I mean. They ever going to get a pitcher that makes them good enough, if you know what I mean?
Now, I own a pretty decent amount of jerseys, but by far the best and most random jersey that I own with a whopping price tag of $5 is a Miami Dolphins Josh Rosen jersey.
Wow.
Man.
Well, no, we didn't talk about it on the air, but Spitz, they're down $3 million a game from last year.
Yeah. 16 million a game compared to last year around 19 million.
Seconds.
Philly, I've never worn a jersey out in public.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Wednesday. Thanks so much for being with us. The Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, all coming up in roughly 40 minutes. The headlines today: Jim Harbaugh, according to reports late yesterday, kicking the NFL tires once again, linked to the Raiders and the Bears. We would have to think one or two Florida franchises would get in that game if it happens, between the Dolphins because of Stephen Ross, big Michigan guy, coveted Harbaugh going back 10 plus years ago when he ended up having to settle for Joe Philbin when he wanted Harbaugh, but he chose the Niners. And I mean, if you're the Jags, come on now. I mean, he does have a .694 winning percentage in the National Football League. He was a head coach 4 years. His worst season was 8-8. I mean, so what that he's difficult to work with? I mean, are you kidding? I mean, if you're Khan right now, what wouldn't you sacrifice to have 500 or better seasons?
No idea. And that would make the fan base really happy because that means Bulky would go.
Right, because there's no way Harbaugh would take the job and work with Trent Baalke because they worked together in San Francisco and not well.
But it is getting to the point now where Baalke may have to go. Pat Kerwin said yesterday on the show, when you're interviewing coaches, some may not want the job because there's a GM already in place. And I do think that is something Jacksonville is going to have to pay a lot of attention to as they're going through this interview process.
Well, I believe they've already talked to Doug Peterson and Jim Caldwell.
Correct.
And so you would think that one or both of them would have already expressed those concerns during the interview.
May have.
So what you do with that from there, well, that's on you.
Our poll question is about Jim Harbaugh today. Will he be coaching in the National Football League next year? 41% of you say that he will. 59% are voting no. You can go to that Mark Miller or the David Moulton to vote on our poll question. You can simply just throw the answer to us via the text line, which is texting FSN Radio to 21,000. FSN Radio to 21,000.
I do not believe he will be coaching in the NFL next year. I do, however, think today is the tell as to whether this is just media clickbait and this is one or two people whispering and it was a slow news day and so people ran with the story. Or if Jim Harbaugh in some way, shape, or form does not come out today and say, listen, this is garbage. Okay, I'll be the head coach at Michigan next year unless Michigan doesn't want me. If he doesn't say something about it today, then his agent's out there seeing if people are interested.
And Bruce Feldman, who wrote the piece for The Athletic, had sources from both the NFL and from the University of Michigan saying that there's some there. Now, they're all unnamed sources. We don't know who anybody is. But the fact of the matter is that there are going to be plenty of teams that'll be interested in Jim Harbaugh should he want to make the jump back from Saturday to Sunday.
I think Michigan would take 24 hours to replace Harbaugh. And to me, it's either Matt Campbell, Iowa State, or Luke Fickell, Cincinnati.
And if Luke Fickell's not interested, and I don't know if he would be, He's an Ohio guy. Some people think he's waiting for that Ohio State job. But Campbell would run there.
Sure.
Run.
Yeah, absolutely. And this nice little run, if you will, that Matt Campbell put together at Iowa State, well, a lot of these guys are leaving. This was, and in fact, this year was disappointing. But
Tremendously disappointing.
the run is over, and he's going to have to build it up with another group of guys. It would be the perfect time for him to leave. Because if he stays, then he's kind of in the beginning stages of a retool. But the other two things have come out this week that we have not talked about. One, the ratings were out for the college football playoff, New Year's Eve. And we wondered, how would it do? Particularly the night game. I mean, Georgia, Michigan. That was sexy.
Right.
Michigan's
well,
got
on paper.
Right. A lot of alumni.
Right. I mean, the game didn't deliver, which always hurts a rating when you have a blowout. There's no doubt.
And the ratings were down 3 million a game compared to last year.
So about 15%? 12%, somewhere in there?
Let's see. 15%.
That's what I thought. Based
Little
on
over.
Yeah.
A little over, maybe 16+%.
That's a pretty significant dip, and it's due to one thing and one thing only. It has nothing to do with Michigan and Georgia, everybody. It has to do with the game being on New Year's Eve.
Absolutely.
And this is the biggest thing to us, to Miller and Moulton going forward. If they are going to increase the college football playoff, we've probably said this to the point where those who listen all day, every day are sick of hearing it. But what they do with the Rose Bowl is everything on how this college football playoff goes forward. Because as much as I'd love to see them give the Rose Bowl a semifinal, because I actually think it's deserving of a semifinal every year, David, I do.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that, by the way. That I am fine with. The 5 o'clock January 1st semifinal every year is the Rose Bowl. I'm fine with that. We do away with the whole Big Ten, Pac-12 thing, but I have no problem keeping as much quote-unquote tradition in this sport as possible.
So if that's the case, let's just say they give me what I am asking for. The Rose Bowl is always a semi. Would we rotate the other semis? They'd be pretty honked off. Who would get it? Is it the orange? Is it the sugar? Is it the cotton?
Well, remember, we do have a championship game also. Okay, so you have 2 semis and a title game. So we can certainly keep 3 of the bowls happy every year.
For whatever reason, though, they've not put a bowl on the title game, and I can't see them doing that going forward, David. It's just been the national title game.
Well, one of the factors that has to be ironed out, and they meet in Indianapolis beginning Saturday, by the way, to all the 10 conference commissioners and Jack Swarbrick from Notre Dame. But, they have to figure out what to do with the bowls here. Are they going to incorporate the bowls into the playoff, or are they going to do the playoff separate from the bowls, which in theory will then kill the bowl system? That's why I think, Mark, they're going to incorporate the bowls into the system.
Do you think that then means no games on campus?
No.
So they're just going to incorporate the quarters and the semis?
Well,
just the semis?
Well, remember, the first system that was proposed was, because really, even though it's 12, it's essentially 4 rounds.
Right. So the first round would be on campus.
Correct.
The next round of 8 teams.
Right. 4
would
games.
be 4 bowl games.
Bingo. See,
so we'd incorporate 6 bowl games, possibly 7.
7.
If the Natty was indeed a bowl game.
Right. You could go 7 if you wanted. Now, just very quickly, if there are big bowls that you're trying to placate, you've got the rose, the sugar, the orange, the cotton, the fiesta, and probably the peach because of Atlanta. There you go.
Right.
There's your 6.
There's your 6, and you keep the national title game, because it's going to be in Indianapolis, and it's going to be in other parts. That's why it probably doesn't have a bowl game associated to it, because it allows cities to bid for it.
There you go.
It doesn't mean that Miami wouldn't still have a Natty and an Orange Bowl.
Right. Now, the other bowls may be jealous of the fact that the Rose Bowl is locked in as a whatever it may be. By the way, we don't know in this new bowl system, will January 1st be a quarterfinal or a semi? Also, let's do the date game. We have conference championship weekend. Many of us feel that then on campus will be the very next week. It will be Army-Navy weekend.
And that'll be the first, that might start at noon now so they can start fitting games in.
Well, and there could be 2 games on Friday and 2 games on Saturday after Army-Navy. Like Army-Navy now has to get moved to noon. And then they play an on-campus game at 4 and an on-campus game at 8. Also, they're going to have to figure out, are we staying with just the 4-letter network or are we opening this up?
Well, I can't imagine that they would just stay with the 4-letter network.
They may have to if they want to start it before 2026, though. Because if you were running the 4-letter network, you'd look at them and go, well, why are we going to open this up, have to pay more money, and lose games to other networks? We've got a monopoly on this sport basically right now. Why are we trying to crash and burn that? Oh, and we have to pay more money?
They want the playoff.
They do.
They want the playoff. They know what it brings them.
They do.
And I think you'll end up seeing it where they're going to get a lot of those first round games, maybe all of them.
Maybe. But trying to lay it all out there to realize that this onion can really be chopped up. I mean, there are a lot of layers to this, and you are trying to placate the old guard and meanwhile look at all the potential new money. I mean, here's the other thing that's going to happen by the fall of 2022. Amazon's going to be doing sports. Now, remember, they're going to be doing the National Football League. So if you're running a league and you go, well, I don't want my games on streaming, somebody in the back of the room is going to go, really? The NFL is putting their product on Amazon, but you have a problem with it. Really? You're not going to take his money because it's beneath you.
All I'm thinking of is Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globes.
Right.
The Taliban started a streaming service. You'd be calling your agents tomorrow.
So, there is potentially a lot of money that's out there. And we all know that that's what this is all about. And so when those 11 men are getting together beginning Saturday in Indianapolis, how much into the future are they willing to look? They may only be willing to do like the short term. Like, hey, can we just do the conference realignment and reconfigure this thing and get it off the ground by 2024? And we'll do 2 or 3 years with ESPN owning it all. And then we'll get it started and then we'll open it up for bid. We can't do all of it right now because we can't really see the future. And we really would love to buy ourselves a little more time to see, so how's this Amazon thing working? Because something just to keep in the back of your mind, Thursday Night Football this year averaged 14 million people a game. It tied or beat Monday Night Football for the season. Thursday Night Football is working.
Really well.
Yes. In fact, if I was running the league and one of the two had to go away, just from a television viewership point of view, I would actually do away with Monday. I think Thursday is now that established and is doing that well. Now, that was on Fox. It's going to go to Amazon. Which digit do you think they lose, Mark? Of the 14 million, do they lose the 1 or the 4?
The 1. People aren't, it's so fascinating to me that we have Seth on, who is light years ahead of his age from a technology standpoint. He really is. Seth's on top of it. I look, I've got my kid who's 22. Philly over here is 21. I know they have no problem with streaming, but that's not who the NFL audience is, by and large. And a lot of these sports are supported by a bunch of old white guys that I don't know if they're willing to jump on Amazon and watch a Thursday night football game.
Or
David.
at least middle-aged.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
I'm with you.
But you don't think that the NFL is so big
No.
that they're just going to force everyone like, hey, this is the new normal.
They can force them, but it doesn't mean that we'll follow. Like, I'll follow Philly. I'm telling you right now.
Right,
if David wasn't working Thursday night football, I'm telling you, with everything that I know, and trust me, I know more about him than you do. I've worked with him for 15 years. If Thursday night football was only available via streaming on Amazon, David's watching if it's a game that really's got him. Maybe. Otherwise, it's on the pay no mind list. And David, did I say anything that's inaccurate there?
Not one word.
But if it's on Fox, where he turns on his Comcast cable and he knows that it's Channel 4, we all do that.
Right.
I'm telling you, it's why when you listen to Seth's interview, what the most important thing he said is that Sunday Ticket realized that they couldn't just go all streaming. The NFL is scared to death. They took Amazon's money willingly.
They did.
They took it and they said, we're going to do this. But they were not prepared to tell everybody who has a television, a regular box, that you can't get Sunday Ticket. Now, I know I have to choose DirecTV over Dish, and I can't have a local service to get that. But streaming or DirecTV, they said we still have to have the DirecTV component.
There's also, I think, a lot of layers to this Amazon NFL story. There's, word that Bezos wants a team. Okay.
The biggest part of the story.
So what's the best way for you to get in the good graces of the NFL to throw a whole bunch of money at them for this Thursday night football? What's the other thing that they get to do on Bezos's back and Bezos's dime? Because the only thing the NFL cares about is the money. They don't care if they lose 10 of the 14 million in viewers. They're cashing checks. Okay. But now they're going to see, let's see if this streaming thing works. And if it doesn't, so what? We cash the checks. It's our Longhorn network. Big deal. All right. But if it does work, and even if it takes 3 to 5 years, and I believe Amazon signed like an 11-year deal for Thursday night football. So they got time to work this out. They've got time for those of us who in 2022 are like, no way am I watching this. And by 2025, we may be like, yeah, all right, I'll watch the game tonight. I mean, they're playing the long game here, and they threw a bunch of money at the NFL, $1 billion a year, in order to do it. And Bezos ingratiates himself with the NFL. There's also word that at some point in time, Amazon's probably going to buy half of the NFL network, which the league has been trying to unload for a long time.
I just want to ask you one question because we got to go to break soon. Do you think the average age demographic of NFL fans is increasing or decreasing?
They're getting older.
They're getting older. They're getting older. So the average NFL fan is getting older.
Yes. And the only demographic that the NFL is not appealing to is your age and younger. It's why they've allowed CBS to do the Nickelodeon game every year. And it's another reason why they're willing to do this, because they are the only concern they have at all on Park Avenue is, man, you know what? We've got a soft spot with young people. People under 25 are not crazy about us. All right. And so I think this is another way in which they go, you know what? Let's go younger and let's get $1 billion a year while we do it. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. That's right, in the Miller Lite. By the way, I think Miller Lite's commercials where the guys bring in the Ultra, that they're going right after the Ultra drinker. Yeah. You know, Miller Lite only has 1 more calorie. I think those are like subtle great. It's because if you're one of us that, like, when Ultra came out, less carbs, I went to that.
Right.
It's water.
It's terrible. Yeah.
They're making fun of you for being on Twitch. The hell? How's that?
Yeah, because his teenage kids are probably watching video games on here.
Right. But that's cool.
No, PFB, I got it, but you have to. All I'm saying is you have to understand you're not the normal 55-year-old cutting the cord on Twitch. You know, when you sit there and boast, I'm 55 and I did all this. That's terrific, but you have to understand that's not normal for our age group. It's just not.
And be honest, are you going to watch Thursday Night Football on Amazon this year?
I will, David, but it's also got to be the point that I've got to go, oh crap. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, and I think all of us are this that aren't full-time streamers. It's like my TV's on. Oh, I got to get that. I got to put Amazon Prime on now. It's that, you got to retrain yourself to setting that up, if you know what I mean.
But look, what you just said, it's not normal for a 55-year-old to do all that and like switch to streaming. But at the end of the day, what Americans do the most and the best is consume. And they are literally controlling the narrative and changing everything and saying, hey, buy this
We'll
so that
see.
you can watch football.
But they're not. They're telling you can keep DirecTV. They've made a conscious decision to know they have to have an over-the-air method. They're not sticking you the stream. They're only giving you part of it. And remember, Thursday Night Football is still going to be on over-the-air television in the markets the games are on. They're not taking that big of a risk.
Never in this market. Like a Dolphins-Bucks game will not be on local CBS or Fox in this market. We're outside of both markets. We will have to watch Thursday Night Football on Amazon.
Wait, I can't watch a local.
What part of, and I'm not being a jerk.
Yeah, right.
A little bit.
Okay. The Dolphins are in what local market? Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Period.
Yes.
You'll be if you were home at your house, but not here.
Home.
I've been able to.
Yes,
your whole
on
life.
television.
Right. But
No,
what we're saying,
here.
well, yeah, yes. Because, but what we're saying is beginning with Thursdays in the fall.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You will only be able to get it nationwide on Amazon. The two exceptions, if it's the Dolphins and the Patriots, you will see the game in Boston and Miami on the local CBS.
But like here on Sundays, we're part of the Dolphins in Miami area, whatever you want to call
Right.
it, territory, if you will.
That's
But
where I
we're
was
not the
confused.
local market.
Right.
Right.
That's why I
Okay,
was-
that's the
okay, yeah,
difference.
Yeah.
We're part of both of their territories, but we're not the local market.
And believe me, Fort Myers, Naples is going to be appealing to New York.
And
They're gonna
Arch,
be like,
we're talking
include
about
us.
streaming, guys. Arch, we're talking about Amazon streaming. We're not talking about cable television. They are two completely different things.
Cable is a thing of the past. I am telling you.
Well, yeah, but remember, this is the second oldest market in the country.
Yes.
We're going to give up newspapers and cable TV far later than other places based on the demographic. David and I have joked for years. The last three papers that are out are the Post, the Daily News, and the Naples Daily News. St. Pete's Times, too.
It's sad because it's like magazines too. I mean, it's just it's old. It's like primitive now. Why would you need to waste all that money printing it when you can just send it on everyone's phones?
Tell you what, much as I'm with you on that, I don't read newspapers anymore. I don't read them online. I'd much rather sit down with a newspaper and read it.
Yes. In fact, Craig Cody is like an advocate that like newspapers are going to they're going to have a rebirth.
It would be interesting. Look at Vinyl has
Polaroid pictures.
But vinyl's made a big comeback. Like
Vinyl's
the largest annual sales of vinyl since the CD era happened in 2021.
Yeah.
So
listen, my dad still gets the newspaper every morning. I love reading the Miami Herald.
I laugh because I've got my next door neighbor gets the Sunday paper. I always look.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
24 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. That last segment started with us talking about how the college football playoff did from a rating standpoint, and then ended up moving on to what it is we think college football is going to do with their playoff and how many networks they're going to bring into the fold, et cetera, which then also got us into, remember, next year, the NFL moves to Amazon on Thursday nights. And how many people will go find it on Amazon on Thursday nights? Now, the one distinction is in the quote-unquote home markets, unquote. So like when it's Cincinnati against Buffalo, in Cincinnati and in Buffalo, you will be able to see the game on your local over-the-air channel. The rest of the country will have to turn to Amazon.
And in this market, Fort Myers, Naples, in this bonus hour here, like Tampa's fine, Miami's fine for their Bucks and Dolphins games. We will not get those games when they are on Thursday night television.
Amazon insisted on it. They're like, hey, if we're going to do this and pay the price that you want, you have to hold firm here. And you need to realize it's going to cost you viewers for a while. Don't know what to tell you. And
checks will cash.
And Amazon is hoping, I mean, for those of you old enough to remember when the NFL moved off CBS to Fox? Do you remember when the NFL moved to ESPN? That Amazon is betting that the power and the strength of the NFL will ultimately get you to turn to them. And they are looking, much like Fox did in 1994, to literally build a network on the back of the National Football League. It worked for Fox. Bezos is going to try and do the exact same thing.
We've got some of those opponents out for what Bezos is trying to do. The home and road schedules have been released for the most part. We know who people are playing. I mean, there's still a few division spots that'll be changed a little bit, but the Bucks and Dolphins home schedules for next year, at least who they're playing, is out.
Well, from a season ticket standpoint, you know, the last couple years, Tampa Bay's had a really good, forget the whole Brady factor in the team, just from
great opponents.
Wow, this might want to get season tickets for the Bucks. I go to a few games and I could make a ton of money selling these on the secondary market. Well, the Dolphins, I think, have that schedule next year, Mark.
Boy, do they ever. Obviously, Bills, Pats, Jets, we know that. But they get the Browns and Steelers from the AFC North. If you were to pick two, those are the two you want from a fan base that will travel and has already moved to parts unknown.
Right. It's not like, you know, Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson are not exciting, but in terms of
fan bases that are all around the country, living everywhere, Browns and Steelers are much more so than Bengals and Ravens.
Right. If you're looking for resale value, that's two of the top five.
Well, and the other two of the top five are the two NFC North teams are playing because they get the Packers and the Vikings. Now, the Bears would be right there too, but obviously they don't have to play the Lions at home. They get to go to Detroit. And then it looks as if they're going to have the Texans, who are locked into the third place spot. They'll play the loser on the road of the Chargers-Raiders game.
Right. The loser will finish third. And since the Dolphins are a third place team, that will be, remember, AFC teams hosted the extra game this year against the NFC. So you know what that means. Next year, Dolphin, you'll have 9 road games.
And the Bucks' extra home game is the Chiefs.
That's kind of dirty.
The Bucks will get the Rams, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Bengals. That's 4 division winners, by the way. Seattle, Baltimore, and then their division.
The Dolphins' extra road game will be San Francisco. So, you know, Jim Harbaugh will have a chance to go back home.
Right. Or he'll be down with the Bears when they take on, or he'll be hosting Miami when the Bears host the Dolphins.
And also, Deshaun Watson will be able to face his former team when the Dolphins host the Texans.
Correct.
I mean, which storyline do you think is going to play out here?
I will say, from a quarterback standpoint, provided Aaron's in Green Bay, it's Stafford, Aaron, Mahomes, Burrow. Now, we don't think, but if quarterbacks stand pat, that's Russ and that's Lamar Jackson, then the division. Somehow, I don't think both of those Seattle and Green Bay quarterbacks will be coming to Tampa.
No, I don't think so either. I actually think there's a better chance of Rodgers staying in Green Bay than there is of Russ staying in Seattle.
I agree with that.
I think that Russell will flat out, full court press, say divorce, out of here.
Unless somehow Pete's gone.
I think he may do it anyway because he's looking at his football mortality and realizes we're not going to be good soon. And I'm 34. I need to move this along. Also, if you're Russell Wilson, if Matthew Stafford and the Rams have a run, tell me that won't affect you because you guys are basically the same age.
I gotcha. I just look at the receivers he's got in Seattle, and I think it can get turned around more quickly than you do, I guess.
Yeah, I think they're a mess. I think they're a mess. They've given away too many draft picks and then have made too many mistakes behind it. The Jamal Adams trade turned out to be the beginning of the end of Pete's run in Seattle.
So those are the home and road schedules for the Bucks and the Miami Dolphins. Pretty good time to be a season ticket holder of either.
No doubt. No doubt about it. You re-upping?
Hell yes. Although I will say, now that they're making you claim all monies, it will be a little more difficult this year than it has been in the past.
Even PBR pointed that out in the Twitch chat room. He's like, you're getting taxed on that resale stuff now.
Well, that's just through StubHub. I have to see what Vivid Seats and see if everybody's playing ball on this one.
Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Final thoughts, all coming up. 28 minutes before the hour. Thanks for, taking us with you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. What McAfee said, he goes, when you have those shit throws or something like that, I forgot how he described it. And he goes, you told me those aren't that, but he goes, basically that Adams is always open.
Yes.
And so he started going through the trust factor, and on certain, it was, he goes, you're certain yardages, and your team needs a lift. Yeah, I'll look for him. He goes, if I, we're behind the chains or something's going on, and we haven't scored a lot on first drives. If I want to make something happen, I'll throw it up to him. So then they got into Lazard, and he said it was the drop he had. I forgot what game he said. He goes, but he had a drop, and he took it really hard, and it cost us the game. I forgot what game it was. He took that really hard. And he said, that to me, you'd have to ask him. He goes, but that to me was the turning point for him. He goes, so the next game I threw a ball to him that he caught, and it was a big play. And he goes, so he's starting to get that confidence now. And it was, I thought it was a really, because McAfee can really grill down on questions.
Sure.
He can double and triple down and press. It's good stuff.
The Mannings asked, I thought, a great question of Rodgers. They said, hey, you're obviously tight with McAfee. How'd that come about? Now, Peyton played with McAfee. They were teammates.
Right.
So, and apparently they get along pretty well. And Rodgers said, so funny, was a golf. It was a celebrity event. I'd never met him before. Okay, we get paired together. And he apparently was doing stand-up. He like stopped his tour to come play in this golf thing. And Aaron goes, which impressed me. Okay, and I guess he was recommended to Aaron by a buddy of Aaron's.
Gotcha.
And so Aaron invited him to the thing, and he came. And so Rogers goes, so, I'm playing golf with them and the whole deal, and I find out about the stand-up thing, and Aaron says, listen, we got a little banquet after the round tonight. If you could, if you could just do like 2 minutes, tell a couple jokes, that would really be great. And McAfee goes, no, man, no. And Rogers like, oh, wow, okay. So Aaron's, announcing everybody and what have you, and says, I am my partner today, Pat McAfee. And McAfee gets up, grabs the mic, and does 10 minutes. And Rogers said at that moment, I knew we were going to be really good friends.
Mark, sorry for cutting you out on that.
Yeah, you're right. It was Hawk. But I thought that was a cool little story. What someone wanted to see?
Okay, that's all.
Just feel like he's marching in place.
He's something.
Philly, you know who you remind me of a little bit? T.O.
Terrell Owens?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
No way.
Yep.
How? Explain yourself.
Because I love me some me.
Oh, dude. I mean, you got to have confidence.
And you ooze.
Right.
with it.
And so you're like our T.O.
Listen, man. I love T.O. So
Listen, I am a sucker for a diva wide receiver.
You are.
I have admitted it. I know my weak spot. Kerwin and I go to war with each other over it.
Because he hates it.
He hates them. And I love them.
Oh, man. I mean, listen. The dude played a Super Bowl with a broken leg.
Yeah, and was the best player on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I am. I'm like, hey, if half the team played like him, they would have won.
How do you feel about Devontae Smith?
What do you mean about Devontae Smith?
Twitch chat asking.
He's terrific.
He's terrific.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
All right, we're coming back. 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$22 minutes until the top of the hour. Hope your week is going well. And just because it was the focal point of our poll question yesterday, a belated Happy New Year to you. That's for you, Seth Everett, wherever you may be. Mark is determined for those that are annoyed already on January 5th by people wishing you a belated Happy New Year. Mark is going to say it all the way until
February. Not even doing 10% of the year. Less than 10% of the new year, I'm saying Happy New Year. I think that's fair. I think anything over 10%, you're pushing it.
So you're stopping at, about 8.25% there.
Yeah.
Good for you. All right. Good for you. There's a few interesting factoids on this January 5th, so it is time for...
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
Mark, we're going to go all the way back to the 19th century. 1896. X-rays came into being today. In 1896, announced by a German newspaper, because they were invented by a German. Hey, could you imagine something like this happening now? On this day in 1914, Henry Ford doubled worker salaries.
Right.
Doubled worker salaries. The minimum wage for a worker in the United States on January 4th of 1914 was $2.40 a day, and you had to work a 9-hour day. On January 5th of 1914, Henry Ford decides, yeah, $2.40 is not going to cut it. How about $5? Now, granted, it was a day. Oh, and the workday got reduced by an hour. So instead of $2.40 for 9 hours, it became $5 for 8 hours. I don't know. That would seem like a pretty good day if I was making minimum wage.
David, here, do you want to know the difference? On January 1, minimum wage was raised across the country, and over a series of time, it's going to go to $15. People think it's the end of the world now. Okay?
Right.
That's the difference.
Right.
Could you imagine it now? We just tried to do it, and everybody thinks it's the worst thing that's ever happened to our society.
Big day on this day in 1930. Bonnie met Clyde. Bonnie Parker introduced to Clyde Barrow. We all know
Quite
what
a
happened.
duo.
Right. Construction on the Golden Gate Bridge began on this day in 1933. The second fire at Fenway Park took place on this day in 1934. Yeah, Fenway had a fire in May of 26. And then not even 8 years later, they had another one. Tough to burn down that wall. You can't knock it down with a line drive, and you can't burn the sucker down either. Mark, on this day in 1940, big day for us. We didn't know it, obviously, but it was the first ever transmission on FM radio. No static for the first time on radio.
Nice. Going a little Steely Dan for me. I appreciate it.
On this day in 1940. This was the day in 1957 that Jackie Robinson retired. That was because a couple of weeks earlier, he'd been traded by the Dodgers to the New York Giants, and he said, the hell I am. Not playing for them. I hate them.
That I love, by the way.
Yes.
Not because I'm getting traded. I hate them. I won't play for them.
I'll play for any of the other teams in this league, but I ain't playing for them. The heck with that. Mark, it was on this day in 1959, Buddy Holly released his last ever record titled It Doesn't Matter, unquote. He would die in the plane crash 29 days later. CCR released their second album on this day in 1969, Bayou Country. Good Golly Miss Molly and Proud Mary were on it.
That'll work.
Yeah, that'll get a career going. Mark, All My Children premiered on this day in 1970, okay? Can we get to the heart of the matter?
Wow. Quite a run those soap operas had.
There's like 3 or 4 left. I think like each network has one.
Young and the Restless, I think, is still on.
Yeah, it is.
General Hospital still on?
I think so, as the only one on that
I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, it's so sad.
It really
and
is.
I think Days. Right?
Well, how could Days go away?
Well, Jennifer has to have a job for life. It was on this day in 1971, the Globetrotters lost. They lost 100-99 to the New Jersey Reds. You want to take a guess at what the winning streak was?
Ooh. It had to be 1,000.
Higher.
I'm going to go 2,413.
Wow. That is a staggeringly great guess.
Thank you.
That's a double showcase winner
Really?
guess. 2,495. was their win
How about
streak.
that for just picking a number out of the sky?
Okay, think basically Ripken's consecutive game streak and throw 100 on top of it. It was on this day in 1971 that happened. It was also on this day in 71 that 40-year-old Sonny Liston was found dead in his apartment. His wife found him. Foul play was suspected then. No one, I believe, has ever been arrested for the death of Sonny Liston. And they thought he'd been dead for almost a week when he was found. Mark, a fairly big day in my life. I didn't know it. I was 7. But on this day in 1973, Columbia Records releases an album, a debut album, Greetings from Asbury Park.
It's so good. I know you would argue with me. It's still his best work. I love this album. Love this album.
If by chance you don't know, it is the debut album of Bruce Springsteen. The first song on it was Blinded by the Light.
That was just completely abused and a horrible cover by Manfred Mann.
And the second song on it was Growing Up. And on the B-side was Spirit in the Night. It's a pretty damn good debut album.
Had it on cassette, David. I had that cassette. Wore it out.
It was on this day in 1993, Reggie Jackson elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. He then proceeded to sign no autographs at Cooperstown for 2 days, and then on Sunday, before the masses, give a speech about how the baseball player needs to give back to the fans, and they're the backbone of the game. It was on this date in 96, Don Shula announced his retirement. It was 15 years ago today, Bill Cowher resigned as head coach of the Steelers. How many of you thought Cowher would never coach again?
Yeah, not many of you.
No way.
No way.
Mike Shanahan hired 12 years ago today as head coach in Washington. And it was just a year ago today that Devontae Smith won his Heisman. Mark, Walter Mondale was born on this day in 1928. Chuck Noll was born on this day in 1932. Sam Weish was born on this day in 1945. Jim Otto. You remember Jim Otto?
Absolutely.
The great Raiders offensive line. Many people remember the second center on it, Dave Dalby, because to his left, obviously, was Upshaw and Shell. But the first center for Upshaw and Shell was Jim Otto, number 00. He is 84 today. Mercury Morris is 75. Diane Keaton is 76. Sean McKeel, remember when he won that PGA?
Yes.
That was the run of obscure players winning
From
PGAs.
Rich Beam won one
in
in
the early
there.
2000s, right. Sean McKeel and Marilyn Manson are both 53 today. He's in a little bit of hot water.
You think?
Yeah, and he should be.
Yes, he should.
Bradley Cooper is 47. And Miss Cavallari there, who is married to Jay Cutler, is 35. And that, Mark, is today was the day.
I've just got one omission because I didn't know this story. And I've been to many a Steeler game, and I've heard the song Renegade by Styx at every one that I'm at. It was today in 2002 with the Steelers down 24-7 in a playoff game against the Browns that they played Renegade. It fires up the crowd. They come back. They win. It is now a part of every home game at Heinz Field.
I like it.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good, David, we go for a ride. Apparently, a new study out suggests that skateboarding can help down-and-out Gen Xers or even those battling substance abuse by boosting their moods. Were you a skateboarder at any part in your life, David?
Absolutely. I had to get the really wide board, though. I got really wide feet.
So you ever get a little depressed? No need to talk to the wife. Just get the board out and go for a little twirl, David. Apparently, that's how we do it.
I always found it to be too much work, to be honest with you. I felt the board didn't do enough for me. You know, like you couldn't get
wheels are better now. I will say you're right. Back in the day when we got those cheap skateboards, That you had to really get downhill to get any speed
Yeah,
whatsoever. It was basically you could run faster than you could skateboard.
I mean, like when you got it going on a bike, you could cruise for 10, 15, 20 seconds.
Totally with you.
Skateboard, it was like you got 2.
You got to get a longboard.
That's
The longboard.
they didn't have those though in the 70s.
Right.
Just so you're aware.
It's a cruising board, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like a surfboard.
You know, I used to see on that. What's her name? Drafted FGCU girl that was drafted in the first round. Whitney Knight.
Right.
She was a big longboarder. So I remember when, all of a sudden I'm like, why is the basketball star rolling around on a longboard on campus? But that was her method of transportation, I believe, when she was there.
I like it.
For the bad, we go to our backyard, Fort Myers Beach, where Stephen Austin is accused of attacking his former landlord. The landlord tried meeting with him, collecting money for property damage on one of his units. It was at that point that Austin decided to go all Stephen Austin and try to whoop his landlord's ass. No word on whether he broke a bush beer or had a bush beer. I do know that he was arrested and charged with battery on a person over 65. Finally, the ugly, we go across the pond where Hasim Nasser was given Golden Morn cereal to her 4 children. She found a bag that confused her inside the cereal. And then she did a Google search. And she found out that in her box of cereal, she found a bag of meth. Now, fortunately, nobody had the meth. Her kids didn't do it. She says, my eldest is pretty independent and gets her own cereal. She could have easily eaten it. Police investigated, found that someone cut through the bottom of the box and put it into the cereal. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, January the 5th, 2022.
Well, we got college hoops. I mean, it's college hoops, it's NBA, it's NHL. That's what we got now until the weekends when we've got, how many football games? We got 1 week left of the NFL. So we got 16 games. Then you got 13 playoff games, and you got a college football national championship. 30, ladies and gentlemen. The official number of football games left is 30, college and pro. And over half of them are this weekend. So keep that in mind. College hoops tonight, Mark. Michigan State in action. Gators are in action on the Deuce at 7:00 against Florida. They're at home looking to pull the upset. Although actually, technically, they're favored, which I find very interesting. Best game of the night's probably ESPNU at 9:00. Texas Tech, Iowa State in a Big 12 affair. Couple of ranked teams.
Yeah, not a lot of good. The Canes host Syracuse tonight.
Ooh, that's a big one.
They've gotten off to a decent start.
A very good start. Double-digit wins, just like FGCU's hosting North Florida tonight. Doubleheader, actually, women at 5, men at 7:30.
Canes are undefeated in ACC play.
I know. And they're scoring points. They're very entertaining. They're scoring 90 points a game in conference.
Isaiah Wong increasing that draft stock.
Look at you.
Iowa State, by the way, defensively is a beast. I don't know how good they are, but they play tenacious defense. You mentioned the game against Texas Tech tonight, the 2 ranked teams.
Orlando's at home for Philadelphia. The Heat are on the road in Portland, and they're a 1-point favorite. I don't think Jimmy Butler is going to play tonight. No. We may see Kyrie tonight.
Right.
Yes.
Brooklyn on the road in Indiana. And Kyrie may make his season debut.
Edmonton, Toronto, in the NHL, the Blues and Penguins, Islanders and Canucks already postponed.
Yeah, 1 out of 3 already postponed
already
for the
done.
NHL. Well, did you hear the Islanders postpone their road trip? The Islanders made the decision to postpone their road trip because they were going to play a game in Seattle, and then they had a bunch of Canadian teams. And apparently all the games in Canada were in doubt. And the Islanders said to the NHL, well, we're not flying all the way to Seattle, playing 1 game, and then going to have you cancel our road trip and have us fly back. So the Islanders said, you know what? We're not going to go. You guys reschedule this in February when we're all not in the Olympics. Figure it out. So the Islanders canceled their road trip. You got to remember, this was a team that started the season with 13 straight road games while their arena was getting finished.
Right.
So they're done with the long road trips that are in doubt.
Hey, someone's got to take control of this league. You can't. Teams can't tell the league what they're doing.
I
David.
agree. Never heard anything. You guys have a 6-game road trip. Yeah, I don't.
We're
think
not
so.
going.
No.
Okay, then you forfeited all the games.
Why? The games in Canada were never going to be played. Miller and Moulton. Have a great rest of your day. Bud Elliott tomorrow. Thanks for listening.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak